That's crazy. They had to turn the comment section off for y'all thirsty asses.
No. That's not how that went.
Okay, well, we're gonna talk about it in a little bit. Everybody good, everybody excited about the season finale. For those who are watching Beyond, welcome to the pre-show. That's right. We had a great conversation with a lot of sexual harassment and innuendos, and you guys missed it, but it's okay.
We'll make more.
Yes. Eventually, the Patreon, all that good conversation will be coming into play. All right, last breath, y'all. Last. All right. And 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the season finale of the BLC Pod After Dark Edition.
After Dark Edition season finale.
I tried to start serious and then turn it up along the way. I can't believe it's the season finale, y'all. I mean, episode 10, the season finale of this season, the After Dark Edition, man. I got most of my people with me. Before we introduce ourselves, again, we want to send our thoughts and prayers to Kim. Kim, we heart you, girl. We do. And hopefully you'll join us maybe for off-season conversation. But with that said, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share, and all that good stuff. And I heard there's going to be another snowstorm in Atlanta, but wherever you are, it's probably cold. So go to the BLC store and get your merch. That's right. We got t-shirts, we got sweatshirts, and we got hoodies and stuff to keep you warm. What better way to stay warm during this winter season than with the BLC? With that being said, that cover everything. I feel like with season finale, that cover everything.
Hot and bothered.
Hot and bothered. Well, speaking of hot and bothered, S&M was happening, girl. Well, I don't know if I was. That was not the greatest segment.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what the hell you mean hot and bothered? Like, what you trying to say? Just because I was already like Aaron, Pierre. Like, what the hell you trying to say?
Tell on yourself, girl. Yes. What's happening, S&M?
So you know what? I'm happy to be here. The season finale. I didn't think I was going to make it, to be honest, because I had a headache. I had to take some painkillers right before this, and I was nauseous. I said, "Oh Lord, we're going to make this though, because I love my peeps. That would be you and the viewers. So love, gonna make it.
Yes, we go make it. You look great. Okay, S&M, you look well. You know what I'm saying? I would not even been able to tell. Okay, let's go to the other lady on the panel because now S&M got a little backup. Miss Delilah in the building, shaking the room up. Literally, what's happening?
Literally. Delilah is in the house. Yes, I'm back. I was sick last week. Thank you for all the way wishes. It was bad. I'm not gonna lie. It was bad. I was in bed for days. Not cool. But I am a lot better now. A little sniffle still, but other than that, doing so much better. Oh, and I did get delayed in I'm currently working on scheduling all my book signings for my book Exploring Taboos, and I got totally delayed because I was out like for a whole week. I was in bed. So I'm eager to get back started. But other than that, 25, come on, bring it. I'm ready for this year. I mean, you know what I'm saying? 25.
We do.
Let's go. I'm ready to party.
Pam. I hear you, girl. I feel like balloons should be popping from the background. Just listening to you talk. Hey, Jay, man, what's happening, my good brother? You know what I mean? What's good with you?
Everything's good, man. I'm glad to be here. Just holding it down, trying to grow some things. We got a new podcast coming out soon called LS Confessions. It's like an inside, look at the lifestyle from lifestylers. I'm really excited about that. That's going to be taping really soon. You're going to see some of the BLC pod probably on some of the tapings. So you're going to see us all over just doing big things. Y'all are going to be really excited with what we're doing in 2025. So, that's enough talk about me, man. Let's talk about all the crazy thing going on in Black life. You know what I mean? After Delvin puts us in.
Yeah, Delvin, nice little layup. There you go.
Hand it to me. Hey, glad to be here for the season finale. It's exciting. We got the ladies back with us. My girl Delilah, she was under the weather a little bit, but we told her we were going to manifest, and it worked. So I'm glad that we pulled that off. S&M, you're back, and we're kind of matching a little bit. I got my, lavender, my purple on too. So I got the memo. The rest of you,
Mm.
shame on you. You're not matching. So we'll try to do better next time. But
Hey man, I just stay dressed in black like the Omen. But listen, since we're doing some shameless plugs, I gotta mention Seamless. You know what I'm saying? When you're starting a business, you realize there's a need, right? And as much as I talk about women on this podcast, I felt like I had to give back and do something to help women. So for all the ladies out there who want to be their best selves for 2025, right? Maybe the gym ain't it, right? You want a little shortcut. You want to figure out how to get to your goal a little bit faster. Then holler at your boy when it comes to Seamless. You know what I'm saying? Because nothing gets passes than fatter asses, right? Go to
that's a fact.
Is that going to be your logo? Nothing get
Nothing get passes like fat asses is our unofficial slogan. But S&M, man, I'm anxious to talk about all these different things that we have to talk about today. So let's get right into it, girl. What are we talking about?
Well, you know what's interesting is that we are coming up on the deadline for the TikTok ban. So if you've been living under a rock for the past year or so, we know that last year President Biden signed into law a basically legislation banning TikTok and giving them until this year, January 19th, to either sell or remove themselves from our apps. Basically, just and so I will note though that today or Monday, I believe it was, there were some senators who put forward a new bill to try to delay it by 270 days. I believe it was called Extend the TikTok Deadline Act. I mean, you can't get more on point and blunt than that. And so, however, it has not been voted on yet, nor has it been brought to the floor, even brought to the floor. I will note that 170 million users use this for various reasons, from business engagements to include the BLC pod. So don't forget to check us out on TikTok if you haven't already, at least until January 19th, and other folks as a monetary source of income. But with that being said, I would just love to get your thoughts on the TikTok ban. What does it mean for you?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to greatly impact me per se, but I do like going on TikTok. Now, what I did do though is, since all this conversation was going around, I went in and I tried to download like some of the other apps that they have right now, to replace it just in case. And I have to say, like, there were a couple of them, and I don't want to do any promotions or anything, but there was one that literally looked like a mirror of TikTok. It's just that it's made in America. So I thought that was very funny, because I'm like, it's the exact same thing. Now I don't know the backgrounds of it as far as the algorithms and stuff like that. But can I say the name of it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that one was Clapper. I think it was called Clapper. Yes.
Why am I not
And
surprised?
Sounds
But go
familiar.
ahead. That sounds like a social media app that would fit you. That makes total sense.
Okay, we're going to talk about that later, but all
I
right.
rescind my previous joke.
And then there's another one. It was Red Note, and I think like the younger generation, I guess they're fleeing to that one. It's called Red Note. I went on that one. It's that one is actually owned by Chinese. That wasn't was how I wasn't a fan. It was some of the stuff is still in Chinese, so you kind of like have to guess. But
Ni
because
hao.
oh, speaking of
Wow.
which, one thing that I
Wow.
thought was super funny, Duolingo, that app where you can learn languages. I think, and someone told me about this, I haven't verified, but the CEO or whoever posted something saying, "Hey, welcome all Americans! Like now you want to learn Mandarin, because everybody is trying to say." So I thought that was really funny. So it's a really big deal. Again, I think all jokes aside, yes, it is only social media for some, but for some, this is their livelihood, right? Especially, I think, COVID really, made a lot of people have to get a different income. And there are a lot of people who have either had to quit their jobs or, were fired or whatever the case was. And this was their bread and butter. And with this being gone, I mean, it is really a serious thing other than all the jokes that we're making. So I do feel for them, and hopefully it'll be taken care of. I don't agree with it that it's getting taken down, but I ain't got nothing to say. It's above my pay grade.
Okay. Go ahead, Jay.
I'm just a little sad to see TikTok go. I know a lot of people were scared to touch it because, I mean, it was the Chinese thing. There was a lot of intrigue over TikTok for a long time. I did enjoy some things. There were some 3 or 4 areas in TikTok I particularly enjoyed. There's, what I mean. TikTok has different areas. It's like a rabbit hole. Kind of like the internet. That being said, and to Delilah's point, I think something will come in its place. I think that it's just a natural cycle of business. Things rise, things fall, things suffer from government intervention. You know what I'm saying? It's just natural. And there will be something else that rises. I heard about something called, I think, Fan Base by Isaac Hayes the third or somebody. Um, and to all of these new ones that are coming out, I will say this to the people who are looking, and I'd like to hear, what our viewers, our crew, what are y'all looking at? Where are y'all thinking about going? We certainly would like to know because we want to be there. Wherever y'all at, we at. Wherever we at, y'all at. That's how it is. But even beyond that, as we look for whatever's next, I would hope that we look for something that isn't just a template, right? But that it actually builds upon something better. For instance, TikTok wasn't ours. We kind of made it ours, like we made, Black Twitter. We make things ours all the time, right? But it wasn't ours. And hopefully, something going forward, we will look for something that is more ours, that we have more of an equitable say in. And then remember that it wasn't the app. It was the content, y'all. And so the content came from the community. So all the people in the world out there who've been doing amazing things, right? And some of y'all who've been doing some of the dumbest things I've ever seen, but it made me laugh. Yo, it's okay. All right. You still have value. And there's a place for you. And just be everywhere until you figure out where you want to be. But be here with us, the BLC Pod, and we'll tell y'all where it's popping. So that's all I got to say, man. So long to TikTok, but things roll, things improve. We'll find the next ship and we'll be on it. What you got?
I just want to make one correction. Fanbase has been around for at least, I think it was 4 years already. It just wasn't getting a lot of traction. It's a Black-owned social media platform. So just a super quick clarification that it's
I don't know
not
if I said
new.
it was new. It's new to me, but
Okay. I support that.
Go ahead, Devin.
Yeah, I have the same kind of thought that Delilah did. A lot of people make their money that way. It's a revenue stream for a lot of people. I don't make any money off of it, not yet. I just kind of bump around and then see what's going on. Different avenues, different lanes of TikTok. But I did hear today, and I don't know if anybody can corroborate this, that Donald Trump was planning on signing an executive order to not enforce the ban. So that's something that just kind of percolated up that I heard this afternoon. But yeah, I think unless you're working doing some high level shit for the Pentagon or something, you're safe. The Chinese they're not spying on you, they're not getting you. You're good. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Hopefully it'll stay around for a while. I think it's a pretty neat little platform, and I think it is what you make of it. And hopefully we'll be able to continue to use that as a way to monetize content and check out the BLC TikTok page. But yeah, I think it'll stay around. There's too much rumblings about it right now to just walk away from it. So with a new administration, I think things may turn around a little bit, but we'll see. That's just my 2 cents. So,
you want to go SNL before I go? I'll just swing into the next topic.
Sure. So I would just add, I co-sign on everything what everybody said, but I'll also just add that people are confused when they say it's for national security purposes. They're spying on you and so forth, but so is Instagram. Sorry for the long pause there, but so is Facebook. So is Twitter. All the apps have all these same. As a matter of fact, even gaming apps are actually spying on you as well. And so, just as a note, I think that the national security concerns were more or less not that they have your data, but the fact that we're able to have some type of autonomy over ourselves that the government actually didn't have access to. And I think that's what part of the problem was, along with some other stuff that would go into conspiracy theories. And not really trying to do that on this particular ninth inning. So I'll leave it at that.
So listen, I hear y'all sympathies as it relates to the people who have businesses, but one thing that people will tell you is that when you're building a business, you have to be careful when you do it on somebody else's platform. You don't never know, like even with the pod, right? There's certain things that we can't even say. We decided to do this season, right? But there's ways that YouTube will flag this conversation because we're talking about sex, right? And they're allowed to do that, right? So what people have to learn is that, yeah, it might suck in that way, but are you getting emails? Sometimes going back to the old school is important, because if you're deplatformed, you'll still have a way to connect to your audience, right? So I do think that, yes, people certainly was enjoying certain things, but it wasn't like this information was not put out there very early on, right? So people maybe had some time to adjust. I think we could sniff at the concerns in regards to the tech of it. But yes, Instagram, Facebook do these things, but these are American companies, right? And I think we also got to be honest that China is not that far behind in regards to a lot of the moves that they've made. So I do understand the concerns there. I also, in the light of the 2016 elections, where there was rumblings or how the Russians impacted Facebook and affected the election. So as America, I do think it's important to be like, whoa, 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 what kind of foreign power has access not only to our data, but also to the algorithms and also to what we see, right? That could be an agent of chaos in regards to people being led down certain type of rabbit holes. So I do believe that there's some credible reasons for that to be some concerns. But I just hope people learn a lesson that if it's not your platform, you have to be nimble enough to figure out what to do next when they decide to pull the rug up underneath you, right? So hopefully that makes sense. The next topic, though, I really wanted to get into, because it is ironic to me, the double standard, right? Which I love the double standard, especially for the All Lives Matter crowd, right? Because Aaron Pierce, Mufasa, right? You know that guy, right? He recently, I think, was on the Jennifer Hudson show. He did a little hallway move or whatever, and that was posted on their website. But apparently, women got so thirsty, okay, in the comment sections, talking about him in such sexual ways that it made the higher ups uncomfortable. They were like, we're going to turn the comments off, which led to a broader conversation in regards to how men are being sexually objectified. Like, I don't know if he's married or not, right? He seemed like a nice guy nonetheless. And I know this could be a funny topic, but if he does not want that type of attention, is he not allowed that agency, right? So the question for y'all is, right, what do y'all think about the fact that they had to cut their comments off because of all these thirsty women out here, and how they sexually objectified this brother who was at work minding his business? He was on a promo tour promoting his work and his career. He wasn't bothering nobody, only for y'all. Anyways, what are y'all thoughts on this topic? Let's start with Delilah.
Look,
let's start with her.
First of all, I'm gonna say, all right. It ain't funny when it's on the other side, right? So I'll say this. Obviously, I don't think it's okay. All right, none of that is okay. But let me talk about the other side real quick. Women have been objectified for years, decades. Whether it's on platforms, whether it's in person, whether it's whatever. It happens all the time, and society has just accepted it for what it is. It's okay. I mean, you know how men are. Just ignore them. Blah blah blah. Also, now the shoe's on the other foot. All of a sudden, it's a problem. I mean, I'm very sure, and don't quote me on this. I didn't pull up any posts, but I'm very sure there's several posts out there that you can go on where there's a woman who's doing or saying something, and she's been completely objectified, and that has been okay. So again, I'm not saying it's okay what's being done. First of all, you said he wasn't okay with it. I didn't hear him step out and say he had a problem with it. I'm just saying the company took it down. I didn't hear, but anyway,
because it was inappropriate. It was inappropriate behavior.
What about all the other inappropriate stuff?
Okay, well, give me one example. Okay, give me another example of a woman who had a post and niggas was going super thirsty. We can talk about it. Today we're talking about Aaron Pierce. Right, the thing that the reason at first I was going like not say anything and let you ride, but you do understand though, right? That some people are going to watch this and say, here's another example where it's a layup for you to turn around women. And we're talking specifically about this brother because we haven't seen anything like this recently, right? Where the comments were so egregious that it was a news stories about it. And rather than addressing this brother, rather than honoring the fact that there may be men out here who have silently been suffering, right? You want to make it about women, right? No. And not like, no. What I'm saying to you is that at some point in time, though, what about, like, can we have gotten into the conversation a little bit more before we made it about y'all? Like, we're talking about this man who was minding his business on a show, and you can't even give him the due time to speak about how, yes, you mentioned it real quickly and then made it about women, okay? No, if you had a topic in pre-production that was about a woman that was being sexually harassed, then we would have talked about it. But today we're talking about Aaron Pierce, right? A brother who did a great job on a movie. He's simply out there just trying to do his thing. And there's a bunch of women out there who was sitting there harassing him in the comment section. So you spent your time to talk about women. No, sorry.
I don't see anything wrong with that. It has, and remember, I said, I understand that it's wrong. I do not condone that behavior.
What
Okay.
I'm saying to
That's
you
the
is,
first thing that I said.
what I'm saying to you
That's
is,
all I have to say about it. There's nothing more to say about it other than, yes, it was wrong. There's no need for me to go on and on about the fact that it was wrong. It's absolutely wrong. It doesn't matter whether it's men,
what
women
part
in
was
between
wrong?
are doing it.
What part was
Sexually
wrong?
harassment is wrong. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what you're doing, what you're not doing. It doesn't matter. Any type of harassment, forget sexual harassment, any type of
Oh, we
harassment
finna all
is
harassment
not.
this thing out
No,
too.
I'm just
Can we
saying,
just
because I mean, I gotta let you know,
all
any
the
type,
harassment
that
in here?
sexual harassment, that is, it's not okay. So that's why I'm like, that's not the point. The point I was trying to make is, yes, I understand the brother and I feel you on that. And like I said, I did not pull up any type of posts before this show, and I'll be happy to do my homework and follow up with some links and let you guys know. But the point was, just the only point I was trying to make is the fact that this happens on a regular basis for women all the time, and it does not get broadcasted as much as it was with him. This is not a Me Too situation at all. This is facts. This is a statistical facts, and I'm sure if you give me some time after
What are you
this show,
talking about?
I can come up with that. Women
We
get
gonna
harassed all the
listen,
time
love,
online.
love. These are supposed to be quick takes, right? Cool. And you're
Okay.
riding out. But what I'm saying to you is, because it's quick takes and we're talking about the situation, you spend 90% of your time talking about women, right? We have a pre-production. If you wanted to talk about how women are being sexually harassed in the workplace, that would have been today's topic, right? But it wasn't. It was about him and how weird it was, because honestly, can you name another time where we've seen a company had to turn their comments off because of how thirsty women were in the comment section? Right?
No,
Like, in what way?
because we've normalized it.
No,
Because
it's
we've
no.
normalized it.
Apparently, they did
Period.
not. Right. So, if we're
Oh,
going to
we
talk
have
about
normalized it for women.
if we're going, this is not about women.
I know it's not
If
about women, but you asked me
so,
a
with
question. I
this,
gave you an answer. You asked me to
we're
give you an
okay,
example. The last time this
okay,
happened, and
okay,
I
love.
told you it hasn't happened because we have normalized it when it happens to women, but we have not yet
That
normalized
is
it when
not
it happens to
true.
men.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. You mentioned the Me Too movement. So clearly we're not normalizing it, right? There was a point in time where maybe it was normalized. So now people are saying, hey, we're going to speak up. It's all believe women. So it has not been, right? Women have come out the closet or come out the situation, talking about what they're going through now, right? It's not perfect, but there is a moving the foot of that. That's not being normalized. Right? What's behind the times is the fact that, yes, men go through these things too. And now they're finally speaking up. And so when a person brings it up and maybe deserves the attention of the conversation, when somebody diverts that to be about something else, I don't think you're honoring the conversation or the person who is being addressed. Because if it was Cassie or any other woman who came out here and was like, hey, this happened to you. Well, and the first thing a guy would say is, well, what happens when it happens to that person? Y'all will kill him. Because you're not honoring the person who was saying or who might have been victimized in the situation. But I want to let somebody else speak because it's supposed to be a quick take, right? It's cool. Go ahead. Anybody else want to get up in here?
Well, I haven't seen this much thirst since Prison Bay. Jeremy Meeks came out, light skinned dude with the mugshot. This was the last time I saw this level of multiversal thirst. So it is rare.
Is it light skinned dudes?
Yeah, yes. He suffered in silence so much that he's got a modeling contract, so.
Right.
Immediately got a modeling contract. As a matter of fact,
it happens, we don't know how he reacted. It changed his life.
He drowned his tears in Tubi movies.
Yeah. Shout out to Jeremy Meeks, man, Prison Bay.
Sure.
Okay, so apparently Delvin is like, fuck the victims too. But go ahead, fuck the victims. Gotcha. Go ahead. That's what them. Yeah, I love it.
Something came out of it. He was like, hey, people can capitalize it. You know what I'm saying? Use your body apparently to get what you want and what you need. Going back to the whole Players Club. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say this. So I had to watch the videos multiple times to understand what the excitement was and what exactly made it such a thirst trap.
You had to do research.
Is that why you had to watch it several times?
Because I am thorough.
Could you zoom in?
So, no, I did not. Because I really wanted to see what triggered it from the start, right? Now, I will say, I think it was Party who did a spinoff of this and to imitate it. And now his video, I actually did watch a couple times because I was like, oh, let's do a comparison. And so, but no comments were left because I want to respect their rights as human beings to be just human. And so all I would say is this, is that I understand their concern. It was about the hyper, because black men in general are already hypersexualized. And so, and as a shout out to Delilah, but so is black women. But let's get back to black men, because after the speech you gave, Nick, I want to make sure I stay on black men being hypersexualized. And so if he was uncomfortable, because don't consider sexual harassment if he was actually the one who was uncomfortable. Although, let's be honest, and somebody else could have viewed it as sexual harassment because they were uncomfortable with the response.
Thank you.
And so that's probably what happened and why they turned the comments off. As far as being a thirst trap, I'm gonna go ahead and be a little toxic today. And I think I've been toxic almost this whole season, but I'm gonna go ahead and be a little toxic today. Well, he should have known what he had on. He needed to be careful with his clothes. If he didn't want people to see what he got, then he should have dressed appropriately. He could have wore jockeys. He could have wore bikini briefs. He could have wore boxer briefs, just to make sure he wasn't hanging and slanging. But he didn't. See, these are conscious decisions that he could have made before he left the house. And then perhaps he wouldn't have been looked at and viewed in that manner and became a thirst trap. Because really, what did he have on? What was he thinking?
I don't know S&M. I just saw his eyes. His eyes were up here. I don't know if you noticed them. But
I noticed the whole package because I was watching from a distance and it was a video, so I can't help but see the whole
I bet you did notice the whole package.
No,
Go ahead. Go ahead,
was it the first or third viewing?
To be honest, I was so confused as to what was the hoorah. I think I watched it like 5 times, so it could have been third, fourth, fifth. But either way it goes, I am a thorough researcher when we have these topics on this show. That's all I'm saying.
You are. You do it one-handed. Single. Never mind. So I women are thirsty. I don't think it's okay. So I think women have always had their urges. I think we live in an era where women are being more and more encouraged to speak on their truth and kind of sit at the same table that men have sat at with their comments and their attitudes. And it's interesting because uh, if the story really is that men have done it for so long, right? If the story really is that women have suffered on this for so long, then the story should also be that women have learned this so intrinsically that they would not inflict that on anybody else, right? That the harm, the trauma of it is so dire that how I would never want to see this happen to another person. That's what people do when they come through trauma and they want to be good in the world, right? They make sure that trauma doesn't keep happening. So to brush this off under some, he did it first type stuff, I don't think it pans out. I think if somebody was offended by the comments, then the people making the comments should have toned it down. And that's kind of where it goes. Not that there were so many women who were speaking on that, just says that, apparently light-skinned brothers are back in. Congratulations. I don't know what to say. Go ahead.
So, coming into this topic, I just want to have a little fun with it. But since Delilah wanted to kind of get a little serious with it, fuck it. I'm going to get a little serious with it, right? Because at first I was just going,
serious about it because I still disagree.
It is serious. Ma'am, can I speak? Ma'am, can I speak? Can I speak, please? Okay. I'm sorry I referenced your name. I'm just saying that you inspired me, right, to have this conversation. Because at first I was going to come here and have a little bit of fun with it, right? Because that's what we do. Like, have y'all not been paying attention to a movement where niggas are saying, hey, we have a voice now. We want to be heard. Yeah, people play around with this idea that men aren't heard, aren't seen, aren't even cared for or considered. And that's a real thing, right? So, yeah, I was going to have fun with it because, of course, what man is going to be upset that women are sitting there ogling him because he chose to dress a certain type of way? There are some men who are going to feel some type of way, y'all. Like, you know what? For me personally, I don't even follow IG baddies and shit like that. I'm repulsed by it low key because I get what this whole fucking shit is. I literally unfollow people who all they do is thirst trap. If you ain't got something else that I know about you, like a business or something else you're doing, I'm not following you. I'm not no fucking comments. The fuck I look like. So if I'm speaking for me, right, keeping my boundaries and moving out here respectfully, then yeah, I could understand somebody if they're not moving that way. That some of y'all are disrespectful on the fucking internet. You know what I'm saying? And thirsty. Do you not have any shame? Some of the same women who would point at niggas in the comment section talk about how thirsty they are. Look at you. Look at you. Right? Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. Right? And we can't even just for a few seconds honor the fact that, yes, there are guys who get SA. Did you know that? right? There's no guys in the world. There are guys who go through things based off, even the one guy, I don't even like him very much, but Terry Crews. Now, it might have been at the hand of another man, whatever, right? But the point is, there are people who go through these situations, and I would think that women would have a little bit more sympathy. To Jay's point, Jay said so eloquently, but if y'all collectively have been going through this, then how fucked up are you to be doing it to somebody else? The fuck? Like, no, we didn't normalize it. You apparently are normalizing it by continuing the behavior and walking around unaccountable for the shit that you're doing. And then somebody's got to be wrong for calling you out about that shit. You know what I'm saying? If you work the thirsty chicks in his comment section, get out of the car. Okay? But for some of y'all, shit. I hope y'all had no man for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? I hear an echo. For real, you know what I'm saying? Is that disrespectful to him?
No, men get in trouble for liking pictures. You're absolutely right. All that stuff that they were doing, they should all be single and divorced or some stuff. Like, because we get in trouble. What you looking at that for? You been on her page like 3 times today? Yes, no. I don't have.
You give her the hard eyes. You know, you get cooked for giving the hard eyes.
Yeah, I don't have that problem.
Listen,
my friends do. It's sad.
Before I bounce past it to Esther, because I'm gonna let this go. I will say I did see some cute videos that were okay. I saw a woman, she was dancing with him. It was like a green screen thing. I thought that was cute. There's ways to be cute, y'all, on the socials. You don't have to be fucking depraved and craving and thirsty. And that's for men and women. Y'all look ridiculous out here. And I feel that way when it's a man doing it. And I damn sure am going to feel that way about women who have the advantage when it comes, whatever, man, go ahead and answer them, thirsty. If men can't be thirsty, y'all can't be thirsty. That's ridiculous. Men should at least be able to eat thirsty because we got to go find y'all asses. Y'all got the water. What y'all thirsty about? But go ahead.
See, the toxic person to me want to be like, just don't wear gray sweatpants then. Matter of fact,
yes, or that tight skirt, or that tight skirt, or that halter top, or that halter top. Yes, S&M, what you wear. I love. I'm gonna clip that. I'm gonna clip S&M said that and play that over. Woman says when people deserve to be whatever based off of what they wear.
Toxic part of me, because that's what we've been told. Is that we've been. This is where Delilah was going with that. We've been told that you shouldn't have wore that. That was the victimization of where, like, even the school teachers who have super curvy bodies and they're being told, or people are trying to get them fired because they can't help that they have a super curvy body. So even if they have on a sweatshirt and some jeans or a skirt, they're still being told that they're too sexual, because in general, Black people in general are overly sexualized, period. And so that's where I believe that was part of the conversation. But yeah, I was just being a little toxic with that.
Yeah.
And,
but
no.
You know, I think S&M, I got to jump in here though. That's one thing I have to say that I actually do disagree with. I don't agree. I don't agree that he should have worn something different. People just need to know how to behave better. That's just period. Because, you know, that's what women are usually told when they're being addressed any type of way. Well, you should have worn something different. And in his case, he should be able to wear wherever the hell
he wore slacks.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on, that's not the same. That's not. He wore slacks. That is not the same.
Okay.
He wore slacks. He wore slacks.
He wore church clothes, ma'am.
Come on. He showed his package, and that's what a lot of people were talking about.
Y'all thirsty asses chose to focus on his imprint. He wore pants. That's not the same as a bitch wearing a fucking halter top and a fucking coochie cutter. It's not the same, y'all.
He wore a first Sunday suit. And y'all just left it all over the
That's why I
man.
mentioned the equivalent was the school teacher who's fully covered, but they're being overly sexual. That's why I mentioned
I agree with that.
Of that. And
yes.
So to move on to the next topic, I was being sarcastic with the clothing thing because that's what we were told. But I agree that at no point should this occur. And so, but to the next topic, speaking of things that are interesting, Jimmy Butler is in the news because he has some baby mama drama. Now, what I want to know, is she being greedy or does she have just cause? So she has 3 kids with him, and he currently pays her $55,000 a month. And she's asking for an additional $10,000 for a nanny. Now, just some background, she doesn't work. The kids are about to go to school. One's in preschool, the other one's in childcare. And so I am just curious as to, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think she's well within her rights because he makes X amount of dollars, or is she just being greedy?
Oh, no, she ain't in her rights. No, she ain't in her rights. She out of pocket. She way out of pocket. I'm gonna tell you, not only is she out of pocket, she is messing up the NBA. Okay, she is messing up Miami's chances for like a champion. She is causing all sorts of catastrophic dominoes to fall all over the United States right now. Okay, and it's interesting, right? Because she wants it for her nanny. Okay, the kids are going off. Who to watch them win? To watch them between the hours of like 5 and 9 for 4 hours between bedtime. I mean, what are we talking about? To get them up in the morning, get them dressed. Now, that's important. It can be exhausting as a single father. At one point, I can tell you, yes, that morning grind and all that stuff, it's exhausting, right? But she's not technically single. She's like a baby mama, and she getting a big fat check. And so on to that point. And the reason why I brought up the NBA, some of you may not know this, but Jimmy is currently like beefing with like Pat Riley and them about his contract or whatever. Right? And you're like, Jay, why does that matter, right? Because I was wondering, why is Jimmy tripping? Jimmy, you're not that dude, man. You don't need to be fighting out here trying to get your own team. You know, like what's the other guy? Brian, what's his name? I think. Anyway, so you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you know you're a role player, you stay a role player. But now that I see that it's this woman who is forcing him to make these terrible contracts. She is ruining his career and the sport at the same time. So, I don't appreciate what's going on. I feel passionately about the fact that she is way out of pocket. Ma'am, you go get a job. Okay, Jimmy got a job. Okay, Jimmy bringing home money. He paying you already. You go get a job. Go get a job. In the time them kids. Matter of fact, why don't you work at the school? Work at the school where you can see the kids and get a check all at the same time. See, I'm full of solutions. Y'all go ahead.
Solution oriented. I like that. I mean, this is outrageous. I mean, that's a lot of Huggies in Pedialyte. I mean, 10 racks. I mean, why? How do you justify that? I mean, that is really messing up the market of you know baby mamas. This is ridiculous. I mean, you gotta justify this. I mean, at least say, hey, look, I'm putting the kids in these super elite schools and they got bodyguards and stuff. Okay, I can kind of get down with that, but uh, I can't make it on $50,000 a month. We're struggling. The light's about to get turned off. I mean, she's not a working mom. Like you're home all day. You can get the kids off to school and go back to bed. Like, what are we talking about? This is crazy. But I can't do it, man. I can't do it. This is outrageous. This can't even be justified. I want to see somebody justify it. I'm here for it. Somebody try to clean this up. Somebody justify this.
Any of the ladies want to try to justify this? Everybody agree? Delilah?
Shit, I wish I would get half of that for child support.
I know, right?
Well, I mean, I do have like I can see both sides though. Like, so not necessarily for nanny. So if she would have asked for more money, and then this is just plain devil's advocate, when you've been in a certain life, used to a certain lifestyle. Okay, so you're used to the penthouses and stuff like that, and so are your kids, right? So I can understand if she says, okay, this is not enough. Equivalent, comparing it to how much he makes, right? So let's be realistic here for a second. We're not talking about someone who only makes $5,000 a month, right? So in comparison to that, her and the children are used to a certain lifestyle. So asking for more child support, if it was just, hey, I need 10 more grand, I would actually understand, but like, yeah, they're used to it. When they travel, they're not going to stay at Days Inn. But the only thing I cannot agree with is the fact that she's saying it's for a nanny, especially because it's not like all the kids are like infant age where they're all home all the time, right? They're gone a lot of the time. And I'm sure there's no name that's going to cost $10,000 a month, because if that's the case, hire me. I will take the job and I'll be very happy while doing so, right? So that's the only thing that I disagree with. That it's for a nanny. It's like she's not asking for it for a nanny. It's just because she wants to continue to pay for her lifestyle, and whatever it's worth. I mean, if that's what she wants and he's got the money, sure, why not? But it should be for the kids. Child support should be for the kids. So I guess bottom line,
I got to bounce back a little, just a tad. Let's say it is for the nanny. That means you're a bum, and if you need it that badly, those kids need to go stay with their dad. And I come let send the kids with me, and I'll hire the nanny. The problem solved. Go get a job, man.
The kids with him?
Okay, so here's the interesting part that I wanted to add while you guys were speaking. So he actually has time sharing custody. So the kids are with him just as much as they are with the mom when he's not on the road. So he has a time sharing custody agreement, and in addition to that, apparently though, a long time ago when they first made this agreement, he did agree to provide her with a nanny and was in the process of renegotiating it, the deal. But and it's because he states she has no job, the kids are in school, and they basically share custody of the kids.
Oh, then it's a hell no.
Yeah. Listen, I was
changed my
at,
answer. It's a hell no.
People who make some studies somewhere said people who make $40,000 a year are richer than like 90% of the rest of the world, right? If that is the case, and maybe 40 isn't the magic number, but I'm pretty sure that what she gets in child support could feed all the children Sally Struthers ever took a picture with. So
that's not the point, though. I'm so mad that I missed. I'm sorry, y'all, because I missed because it's not the point, right? If it's commensurate with what his lifestyle is, bro.
Why
they need to stay with him?
Why should it be?
But does he
why
want
should
that?
it be?
So it is so layered. I feel like I'm hearing an echo. I don't know if it's like if I'm coming through it. Maybe it's just me. I feel like I'm hearing this echo. Maybe it's just on my end. But he had 3 kids with this woman, y'all. It wasn't like it was a one-night stand situation. He had 3 kids with this woman over the course of what, 6, 7, 8 years, obviously, because the oldest kid is like 5 or whatever. The youngest kid is 1. So that 1-year-old is not going to school, right? Cool. Right. And then aside from that, if he has a $40 million contract, take the taxes out, do the math, and he's probably spending $600,000 for this woman to basically take care of his kids, to be the mother to his kids, and to provide them with the lifestyle commensurate with what he has.
No.
Right. Like, I mean, number one, I think we have to recognize that these people's tax brackets are different. Money is different for them. So if he's spending $600,000 in child support currently, whatever that 55 times 12 number is, right? But how much is he making though per year? So so when you do the math, it's not just, a crazy number. It's not, because that's commensurate with their lifestyle. I've heard people talk about how expensive it is for some of these private schools that y'all talking about for these kids to go to. They may not be the private schools that we go to necessarily, but some of the shit is expensive. You get what I'm saying? So I missed the details because unfortunately I'm gonna just let y'all behind the veil. My kid was making too much goddamn noise upstairs, and I'm like, "What the fuck are y'all doing?" Right? So I didn't hear what SNL was talking about because I like, y'all motherfuckers know I'm down here taping and shit, right? But the point that I was gonna make though was, I don't know that I necessarily disagree. So I do think sometimes people overplay their hands, right? Like if you were getting 55 and you was cool with that, but then you're going to ask for an extra 10. Now, as a guy who knew he was overpaying at 55, I might start to look at you like, whoa, right? And now you might have fucked your shit up. I've heard stories where guys were being generous and then the young lady wanted to get a little extra greedy with it. He's like, hey, let's put it on the court. And the court then rendered a lesser amount than what she was getting. That's part of the risk that you take. The game is the game, right? But the point that I do want to say though is like, as people who are everyday people, sometimes these numbers get so astronomical that we can't put it in the context, right? So if I were to put it in the context, let's say just for simple math, if I'm making $6 million a year and I'm paying 10% of that, and this is 6 net, and I'm paying 10% of that to the mother of my child that I've had 3 kids with, who might be doing an excellent job of taking care of my kids. Would I trip about the extra 10? I don't know. Right? And maybe it's a principle thing, but to me, it just depends on like the dynamics at the end of the day, because to y'all, and I'll land with this. One thing I've heard, and I know, taking care of kids aren't easy, right? Like, if you get no break whatsoever, some people need breaks. You know what I'm saying? Yes, school and daycare is part of it, but for some parents, they do it in home. And so if you're going to do it in home, then guess what? You might want to get a nanny. Because truth be told, like whatever you spend on that nanny might be what you spend at daycare. You know what I'm saying? So, some number thereof. And lastly, like these people who do nannies for rich people, you think they're like making 40 a year? You think that's what they make? You think, like, what do you think a nanny who's nannying to the uber rich, how much money do you think they make? Because if I'm a rich person, right, uber rich, and I want people around me and my children, you think I'm going to pay them? You think $120,000 is too much for me to pay somebody who's going to be around my kids and I'm that rich? If we're just talking about paying for a nanny. So I'm just saying, like, I get these numbers are crazy, but we do have to put them into perspective because that's the league that they're playing in, not the one that we are. And so looking at it from that perspective, I don't know that trip about the extra 10. Again, it depends on the relationship, but I get it if he then wants to be like, yo, let me get an accounting. You know what I'm saying? What you do with that 55 if it ain't enough, right? Because low key, he might be paying for other things. These are the different dynamics that people go through. But let's be honest, sometimes we've seen with Tyrese that people are going to be asses about certain things and penny pinch and want to make sure you get nothing absolutely whatsoever. But then we also have some women who are out here with their hand out. You know what I'm saying? The game is the game. I wish them both well, though. I wish everybody well.
So I'm just gonna say add this piece too, to Jay's point about his renegotiation with the Heat. Part of the issue that he's experiencing is because he's now contemplating if he wants to spend even more time with his kids to lessen his child support amount, because he's asked for an accounting of her finances. His lawyer has requested an accounting for her finances to determine what she's doing with that 55 in the first place. And then at the same time, since he was already time sharing with the kids, he's now contemplating if Miami Heat will give him the time that's necessary or needed so that he could be a fully involved father with his children. So
as an NBA player, man, stop playing, Jimmy. Holler back when you're not an NBA player. Nigga, please. That shit ain't got nothing to do with his contract. Nigga want to try to leverage his situation and make more money. That shit ain't got nothing to do with old girl. You know what I'm saying? Nigga left 4 different NBA teams, not under the best circumstances, bullied his way out of there to get more money. The nigga wants to get paid. Nothing wrong with that, but let's not going to make this about, oh my God, I want to spend more time with my kids. Yeah. If $30 million is on the line for you to make next season, nigga, hey kids, I'll see you when I see you.
I'll see y'all later.
The kids actually come with him. Just want to point that out, that on some cases, because they're time sharing, they do actually be there with him. And so I wonder, do he has a nanny? As a matter of fact, now that I think about it, because
he probably does.
Kids when he's on the course.
Yo, these cats are spending $50K on just the place they living at. Like, he's spending on rent or mortgage or whatever just for where he lives at is what he's probably spending in terms of, like, old girl. Like, come on, man. This is a different life that people be living. I'm not in nobody's pockets. If she can get it, God bless her. And if he can get it reduced, God bless him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. God bless everybody. But let's move on to the main topic. We had so much fun with these quick takes. We might as well just end the show now. Hey, yo, don't forget, obviously the conversation is coming soon. We about 47 minutes in. This is supposed to be all 10 minutes or less. Okay, so the main topic today, right? This came about because I believe there were some text messages that were leaked by Drake. For those who may not know, Drake, I think it was a freestyle that was leaked. It's like the Irish freestyle or whatever. That supposedly was in regards to LeBron James. They were besties that fell off or whatever because apparently LeBron James went and supported Kendrick Lamar, yada, yada, yada. So their relationship kind of, is on the outs or whatever. And so he made references about exposing LeBron in certain ways. And then the text messages, I guess, kind of made it intimate that LeBron be outside, and that Drake might dry snitch in regards to LeBron being outside, right? Which immediately brought up concerns of man code, right? So that was one. And then we had this topic in this season finale. We wanted to kind of see if we can bring it all together. And it was a conversation about whether or not men who may see their friends cheating, should they say something? Right. And there's also a conversation there in regards to guy code, right? Because there's probably different opinions in regards to what role men should play when it comes to either telling about your business, exposing your business, even if you fall out. And then there's also the other side in regards to whether or not it makes sense, right? In regards to the man code to step in and be like, yo, dog, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't cheat on her like that. That's crazy. So what are your thoughts in regards to man code and how it applies to sex and relationships, particularly when we're talking about more devious behavior, right? When we're talking about dry snitching, when we're talking about that kind of thing. What are your thoughts about the man code? Is it breaking man code to dry snitch? Right? Is it breaking man code to say something, or should we revise man code and say something? What are your thoughts?
I'm going to defer to the men to go first.
Yes. Come on, Millie men.
Personally, I stay out of people's business. I didn't see anything. I even assume, this kind of being a little toxic. I assume she may even know he get down like that. You've been with this man, X number of years. He's stepping out all the time. He's got his different ladies. She probably knows. More than likely. I think women are really smart. They know if the guy is, kind of stepping out. And then I just personally would be afraid of looking like I'm dirty macking and be like, yeah, Jimmy, we're all hanging out. Yeah, Jimmy be doing, X, Y, Z, but not me though. I try to, keep him on the straight and narrow. I'm holding him accountable. He's a grown man. You know who you married to. I just out of people's business. She might know he get down like that. So,
So hold on, real quick, Dev, just to make sure we're clear, right? So if you're out with your homeboy and he's married or whatever, and you see him stepping out, you're not going to say anything. You're just going to mind your business, right? Because you mentioned you won't go to the wife for sure. But if you're there with him at a cigar bar, wherever you be at, and you see him moving a certain type where you're saying you're not going to say anything, you're going to keep moving.
Yep, keep moving.
Okay.
It's going to come out anyway. I mean, just let the Lord do his work. I'm not going to get in the Lord's path.
I mean, who are we as mortal men?
That's my 2 cents. What you got, Jay?
I think you make a good point. I think that, you know what I'm saying, every men know enough to mind their own business, right? If they're men, because we're already trying to build our own empires. We have our own dreams, we have our own goals. We got our own stuff we're working on. We really don't have time, if we are men, to be dipping and dabbing in what even our homeboys are doing. So we don't, right? Typically. The only and for another reason, right? Not just the mind our own business thing, but also, why tell somebody something they already know, right? If I'm out with my boy and he's married and he's like doing something his wife's not going to approve of, he been married to his wife. I have, and he know no longer than me. Or if he hadn't known no longer than me, they got a deeper relationship. They have the commitment. They have the agreements. Whatever he knows about them is what he knows about them. Ain't got nothing to do with me. Back to Delvin's point. And beyond that, as his boy, I just have to tell him what he doesn't know. You know what I mean? Like, hey, man, that girl over there, yo, I think she itchy and scratchy or whatever. You know, I gotta tell him what he don't know, basically. Not what he does know. I'm not there to be his conscience. The man, he's a grown man. He makes his own decisions. And furthermore, you never tell what you know, because it ain't got nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? We all got stuff that people know and stuff people don't know. It's just, nah, man. I'm completely not in favor of that. Honestly, ever since Drake lost the battle, he has been just kind of bitching. Bitching about Spotify, bitching about that, bitching about that, bitch. So I think this is just more in the long line of that. And like I said, real dudes don't do that. Now, bands, they might do that, but the real dudes don't do that.
I'm definitely not going to rap about it either.
Well, I mean, well. To be fair, Drake has rapped about his life and has been vulnerable about whatever. But I got a question for you, real quick, Jay. Right. So, if somebody aggrieved you, let's say your ex-friend aggrieved you, did something that, name it, right? Something that you would really feel like you want to get revenge on, right? Despite that, and whatever acts of revenge, you just would not dry snitch on him or just snitch on him, right? Let's say. So, let me set it up more properly. Mm-hmm. Have you been vindictive before? Would you consider yourself a vindictive person?
No, but I can be.
Okay, gotcha. Right, because I'm talking about that feeling of vindictivism, right? Cool.
Yeah.
So imagine somebody did something to you that got you to the point that you wanted to be vindictive.
Yeah.
Right. Because they say sometimes you can't control how people respond. Right. If you just do something to them. So do you think it's out of bounds for someone who has been aggrieved, who wants to be vindictive, and that's the route that they took in regards to maybe we were best of homies, but I'm a dry snitch on you about you stepping out on your old lady. That's my way of getting back to you. You think that breaks man code? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that breaks man code. I think it breaks man code because if it was foul enough for you to say something, you should have said something in the beginning first. And if you feeling really that vindictive, then you weak if you got to hate on the dude for his past, right? If you're really strong, you can crush his future.
Oh, okay. Okay, you did a little kung fu karate with that one, right? So for example, it'd be okay to kill him, but not tell his old lady that he was fucking around, right? I mean, that's a little extreme, but I want to make sure.
According to man code, it'd be better to kill him than tell his old lady he was sleeping around.
Yeah.
We don't talk
about Fight Club.
We don't talk about Fight Club.
I mean, we're not going to talk, right? So, but I do got a question for the ladies, right? Because I felt like Esther was shaking her head when she was hearing some of the things that she was hearing. Was there something you was like, for real, do guys think like this? Because I feel like a lot of times women don't really understand guy code, right? There's expectations that y'all have of us that you may have of your friends and how women move, but men don't move that way, right? So I think Jay and Devin did a good job of kind of setting it up a little bit. Was there something that surprised you, or did you feel like, whoa, because that just seemed kind of foreign to me? Why would you not do that?
Well, so I thought it was entertaining that you would rather kill a person than tell them that their wife that they're cheating. That was a bit extreme. But so I'm not actually really surprised. I feel like for the most part, guys turn a blind eye to whatever their boys are doing anyways. He could be a piece of shit. He could be a deadbeat father. He could be everything under the sun, and their boy's going to turn a blind eye to it because that's their boy. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, oh, I got your back no matter what. And so there's actually been a rise of some men, at least on the videos I've seen, where they're now saying that they won't even do business with somebody who they know is a cheater because they're like, if you'll cheat on this partner who's your spouse, whoever it is, to your you made this commitment to, you're in this contract with, then what would you do to me as a business partner? And so some men are drawing the line there, but I'm gonna go with this. So first, I just want to co-sign on Jay there being Drake is being a bitch ass because first of all, even I wouldn't go back out there and start telling my friend's business just because I'm having a falling out with him or her, because that's bullshit. Because what you're told as friends, you keep as friends, right? Especially if it was a conversation. Now, as far as it was some action or whatnot, then he's still being bitch ass because what the hell? Like you, this is the last year was the year of wine, and now we're continue on with the whining. Like, have some balls, let them testicles drop. Do something, but with your life, but let me stop because he's done something with his life. Let me stop. He's done more than me, as a matter of fact. So I'm not even gonna hate on that part. So with that being said, I would just say that in ancient times, and this is why this is somewhat of an interesting topic to me. In ancient times, they shot the messenger. That's why there's a phrase that say, don't shoot the messenger. Because 9 out of 10, even if you told that wife your boy's cheating, yes, you would be looked like you're hating and maybe a little cock blocking there. And as a matter of fact, the wife may be like, oh, you must want me yourself. And that's why you're telling me what my boy's doing or my man, my husband's doing. And it goes where, sorry, it'll basically be a reaction to you telling versus her reacting to what's being said. Like she may or may not do anything about it, but at the same time, you open a whole bag of whoop ass on yourself because you can't keep your mouth shut. And while I'm not encouraging this one way or another, because everybody's adults here, you make your own decision. But I'm just going to say that the phrase shoot the messenger was because they used to kill the messenger to send it back to the original person because they was like, oh, well, let's go ahead and kill the messenger, because he gave us bad news or she gave us bad news. And no one want to get killed for providing bad news. So I'm going to say I like to keep my head personally. And I'm like, I see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, and may be what it may be.
That's an name. I got a quick question for you before I pass it to Delilah. So if you were out with another married homegirl and she was married and whatever, relationship was not too crazy, and you saw her, surprises you that she's about to go flirt with some other dude, right? And this is your homegirl. This ain't like just an associate, right? You're saying that you would not say anything to her either. Like you like, all right, hey, I go ahead, handle
First
your
of all,
business,
she
girl.
just flirting. So what the hell is that? So what?
Oh,
She just
okay.
flirting.
Okay, so
So
take
what?
it further than flirting. If you know that she is stepping out, like she's there with you, she's flirting with the guy, now she's kissing the guy. What I'm saying to you is, are you as a friend, because remember, part of this conversation was the dry stitching thing, 1000%, right? Then we talked about snitching, wet snitching. Okay, cool. But I'm talking about like the expectation of a friend to tell the other friend, hey man, this might not be a good look. And I think the
No,
two
I'm cool with
guys
that.
said they would mind their own business, right? And I'm trying to differentiate because you're saying you kind of agree, but this is a point I think you wouldn't agree, right? If you were with your homegirl, would you say something to her or you just turn a blind eye?
Well, so if I'm with my homegirl, I would say something, because I think that me telling her, speaking to her, saying, hey, so, whatever is better than, because what's happened between her and her husband is their business. I don't got shit to do with their relationship. But between my friend and I, if I feel like she's going down the wrong path or whatever, I may say something. But to be honest, I'm kind of like, ain't my business what she do with her mouth, what she do, because if I tell her something and I see something, then she's still gonna do what she's gonna do regardless. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I've actually never had a situation where I had to tell somebody like, "Hey, yo, you might want to do this," or "You're dangerously close to that," because I don't find myself in those type of situations.
Gotcha. Okay, Delilah, have you found yourself in a situation where maybe your homegirl was moving in such a way and you felt inclined to want to say something? Did you mind your business? What are your thoughts in regards to what you've heard about guy code? Did anything surprise you?
No, as far as the guy code, that's not surprising. I mean, that's that's always been the case. But yes, I've been on both sides. I've been in situations where I have said something to my girlfriend and where I have not. And just to piggyback on what S&M said, I don't care about your partner. He's not my responsibility. My loyalty is to you. Like you're my friend. What I do find very sad, even with the guy code, I think it tends to stunt your friend's growth, right? So if nobody tells him, and we want to assume, oh, they know, but for whatever it's worth, everyone is different, and sometimes they might just need to hear it from someone that they care about, that they value, to be like, yo, what you doing? You got a good woman, you got a good man. Like, what the fuck? So I think by not saying something to that person, not to their partner, I don't play that, but to that person, I owe you that. As my friend, I owe you that. I'd be like, you sure that's what you want to do? We'll have a conversation depending on who you are, depending on our relationship. That's how much I am going to say. After that, my work is done. And I have nothing to do with it. So I've had a situation where, a friend was stepping out, and I knew both of them. I knew her and her husband, and I was having a party, and she wanted to bring her side piece. I was like, nah, not because I don't condone it. I just don't want the drama in my house because, again, to Delvin's point, the shit is going to come out. And you're not about to bring the drama to my house. You're not about to say that you were here. So I would not allow her to bring him to his side piece to my house, because usually her husband comes to my house. But other than that, she can do whatever. We'll go out. He'll be there. Whatever. That's you. Do you? But I genuinely believe that as friends, it is our responsibility to tell our friends like what they're doing, or at least ask them. At least make sure they acknowledge that, hey, you're doing something. Are you sure this is what you want to do? You know what you're risking. And if they still want to do it, they're going to do it anyway. But that's me. I'll tell you how I feel about it. Like, you're wrong for that. Obviously it's different if you're in the lifestyle. We're not talking about that. We're talking about actual cheating. So yeah, I've said something, and that times I've just been there like, ooh, I didn't see that. Why? Because I've seen it happen many times, and I'm going to be the one who's going to get shot. So I'm going to stay out of it. It just depends on the person, but genuinely, I believe you should say something. My personal opinion.
So I'm gonna take the first part, right? The Drake kind of part about it, because if you're a hip hop artist and you make music and you reference your life and you talk about your life, we forget the vulnerable Drake, right? The whole light skin thing was part of Drake thing, right? It's like they could be emo, you know what I'm saying? So that was part of the things that people really loved about Drake, right? So for me, it's on brand in regards to just kind of talking about your life. He feels aggrieved, right? And that's the second point I want to make too, right? Like, I personally would like to think that I probably wouldn't do such a thing, but I find it difficult that if somebody agrees with me in such a way that I'm going to be vindictive, that I'm going to sit there. I mean, I guess I would pick and choose, but all bets are off. You know what I'm saying? Like, if my goal is to hurt you in the worst possible way that I can, that might be on the table. You know what I'm saying? Because it just depends on like what you did to me. That's why I was asking you, Jay, about the whole vindictive thing, because I'd be aggrieved a lot. Shit happened, you get over it. Okay, whatever, right? But for you to get to a point, like in Drake's case, he was called a pedophile publicly, and then had his friends dance the song in which he was being called a pedophile, right? As if to co-sign it, right? Publicly. So I get that we don't want somebody to be aggrieved, and we want to nitpick on how they respond to that. But that's not a small thing when you've been on top of the game for so long in that stratosphere, to have people sing a song where you are being called a pedophile. So yes, if I can't go beat up the nigga, if I can't shoot the nigga and kill him, then yeah, maybe I'm going to look at all of the resources at my disposal to try to get some recompense, right? Yeah, I guess that makes him a bitch, because in our culture, the only way that would make him a man is to punch the shit out of Kendrick Lamar, right? Like, what other manlier ways, right? But that's a different conversation for a different day. That got to be putting on the fucking Drake cave. I'm just simply saying that when a person is aggrieved at such a certain level, it's ironic to me that people would want to try to define for that person how they should respond to a thing, right? Maybe LeBron should have been mindful that he had dirt with this nigga before he's trying to step out and do certain things, right? Because was that man code from LeBron's side? Right? Like, a lot of shit be funny to me, right? I'm talking about if you are a friend to someone and you do something that they feel like is goes against the core of your friendship. I mean, is friendship not part of man code too? Like, standing tall in what you stand for and making sure that you're the right. Like, I mean, the same reasons why you would say, "Oh, that's not man code," to telling your girls, almost the same reason why it's not man code to stick up to whatever arrangements you made with somebody, like not sticking to your word type of shit, right? So, anywho's, I'm just saying I'm making space for people to, get back how they want to get back. I just would hope people would not fuck each other over in the first place. So maybe you don't have to get to the point of trying to get some get back, right? But I'm also saying that because, Like for me as a regular person, I would not be able to dry snitch. I mean, well, maybe I could, but how would I? Like, I'm not going to be in a situation to do that. So you either have to be just a full out wet snitch. And in that case,
you gotta be a snitch, be a wet snitch.
It's like, girl, I didn't mean to tell you this, you know.
But it's so good.
And I'm gonna, you know what? I'm lying to y'all. There is a part of me that is diabolical. There is a part that's diabolical. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. There's a part of me where if you hurt me a certain way, all fucking bets are off. There's no telling what I can do. You better hope Shorty is loyal for real, my nigga. You know, there is no limits. Let me be clear. Any nigga out there who's thinking about crossing me, or any woman out there who's thinking about crossing me, right? Because sometimes deterrence is the best form of protection. You know what I'm saying? I told you what I was going to do if you did X. You did X. Now all bets are off. Fuck that. Okay. Plus, we need a little bit more toxicity. Hold on. I'm going to say his last thing too. Right? No, but go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, unlike Nick, I'm one of those friends. If you're my friend, even if we have a falling out, all your secrets go into the grave with me. Because at that time, you was my friend. And regardless if we had a falling out or not, there's some things I may have trusted to you that I don't want to be said because I trusted to you while we're in the bonds of friendship. So you don't have to worry about me snitching before, after, or whatever, because at the end of the day, what was within the bonds of friendship is still friendship. And I want to have enough respect for you as a person to not tell all your shit just because we upset with each other or just because we had a falling out, because that's what adults do.
I hear you, right? But this is what I'm saying, though. A lot of people move out here, they're like, there's not consequences. Friends mean something, right? So if there's something that somebody did that is egregious to me that broke that friendship, then what fucking friendship am I necessarily bound to? Now, I do get the principle of man code. Like, man code might be the thing that stops me from not doing certain things, right? But Jay said, hey, I could kill you. That doesn't involve man code, right? Because if you did something egregious enough that it would cause me to want to kill you, what the fuck are we talking about? Obviously, we're not friends anymore. Right? If you rise to that level of I want to put a certain hurt into you, we're not friends anymore. It's off of the principle of, hey, I want to be a bone collector. I want to make sure, hey, people can trust me with their deep dark secrets. Okay, great, right? But to me, that's a separate thing, right? But I respect that. The other thing I was going to say though too, right? Because we talked about the dry snitching, and then we also talked. What was the other thing we were talking about? Fucking the friends. I do agree with you, Delilah. I do agree with you. We should, as men, maybe it is man code that we don't speak. I don't think it's necessarily man code that we don't speak up. That's not, in the book that I got, there's not a rule that says, hey, if you see your partner doing something, don't say nothing to him. I don't see that, right? I do think it's fair if you are a friend that you see your friend moving a certain type of way to say, hey, bro, look out, right? Just be mindful. Like for me, I'm the type of friend where it's not about what I want for you, it's what you want for you, right? Meaning that if I know you out here moving and shaking, I'm gonna shut the fuck up because you out here moving and shaking. You clearly got your little program set up. Who the fuck am I? You know what I'm saying? You moving and you shaking. But if, like, let's say if a nigga's square and he's going through a bad, time in his relationship, he's never really stepped out, and I see him about to make a mistake, bro, you sure you want to do that, bro? You know what I'm saying? I would say something to him, right? Because in that situation, it makes sense. That's not what he really wants. I might be concerned that he's moving in a certain emotional way. And as a friend, I'd want to guard him, like Delilah said, to say, hey, bro, are you sure? Mind you, what I said was, are you sure? Right? Because one thing I don't like to do with my friends is cast judgment. Too many people cast judgment on their friends based off of their perspective. I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Too many of y'all try to want people to act like you want them to act as opposed to acknowledging them for who they fucking are. Right? And if that person is who you really love as a friend, then why don't you know that about them? Which brings to my other point, right? If it's really your friend, you would know certain things about why they move in a certain type of way, which is why most niggas don't say shit. Right? We already know, ladies. I hate to be the one to tell you. We know it. I hate to be the one to tell you, right? And what sucks about that is because y'all would think that because I'll stay quiet, I'm gonna be doing nothing. I'm doing something. Nah, it's just Geico shit. You know what I'm saying? It is not my business. You know what I'm saying? To tell what other niggas is doing, even if I'm not doing anything. But if we're also gonna be honest, I might be doing something. And the last thing I want to do is put the karma out there to where somebody raps on me.
Real talk.
Right here, we gonna keep it a buck. We keep each other's secrets because maybe we got some too. If I tell on you, you ain't tell on me. That's what keeps mutual destruction from happening, right? The U.S. and Russia. We both got bombs, but the reason why we haven't used them is because we can fuck each other up. And that's also part of guy code too. Because Jay, if a nigga that you thought you was God codes with, right, said some shit that you thought was safe and he destroyed your shit, your household, you gonna be like, you know what, even though he told my shit and destroyed my household because of man code, I'm not gonna return the fuck out of here.
Man code applies to men, to other men. If you a band, you are not covered by man code.
Yeah, I mean, you know how diabolical it is. It's like, you got Jay cheating. With Delvin doing it too. It's like, you see, now we're just in a weird space.
Right.
Ain't that what happened with Kobe and Shaq?
Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah, Shaq and Kobe.
It was disgraceful. It was disgraceful. I haven't looked at it the same way since.
I mean, God bless Kobe, the dad, and all that. But yeah, he got a lot of slack for that. It was like, fam, what are you doing? It never helps you guys. Well, he did it too. It doesn't matter, guy. Right. You're caught in Colorado with your pants down, not Shaq, my nigga. But God bless, you know. How did we bring Coach
Black Mama, rest in peace.
Yeah. Nasty work.
It was just a public example, that's all.
So last question on this topic is just as a nod, right? Because I feel like when we call it guy code, is because we differentiate between the things that women do when it comes to the scenario, right? Like I mentioned earlier, I feel like women are more inclined to maybe want to say something to her homegirl. I think women are also more inclined to, if the relationship breaks down, to put all their fucking business out there. I can't tell you how many times I've seen girl relationships break down, and the C-section abortion that she had when she was 13 with her uncle comes out. I'm like, God damn, y'all doing too much. So I guess let me start with the fellas. I've been watching Game of Thrones, and if you ever watch Game of Thrones, this one dude is having. Anyways, there's a lot of crazy shit happening on Game of Thrones when it comes to. That's why I said that. But real quick, last question on this topic to the guys first, and then the ladies. What makes guy code? Like that, at least real like what differentiates it from how we might view just code, period, right? Because there's an honor code that both men and women can enjoy, but one would assume that because we're calling it guy code, what about it makes it guy code versus just being a code that most people can honor, if that makes sense?
I think it's guy code because there are certain ways that men have to move through this world in order to be successful, right? You can't show all your hand, you can't. There's certain things that come with being a man that you learn that in order to play this game well, this is how you have to do it, right? And so men, it's kind of like when one successful businessman talks to another successful businessman, they're able to discuss things on a certain level because they have these commonalities, right? They've been through some of the same steps in getting their businesses formulated and bringing them to a certain level of success. They maybe know some of the same people. So there's a culture that develops because of these commonalities. There are commonalities in the struggle of just being a man in the world, particularly a black man. And those things are the things that make up the man code. And the man code says, I'm not going to mess up another man's efforts in his trying to be a man, right? For stuff that don't got nothing to do with me. If he's not in my lane, then it don't even matter. That's man code. I'm trying to make mine. He make his. I ain't gonna salt his game just off some GP stuff. Man code.
Okay, Delvin.
Yeah, and part of that being a man is the way it's set up. It's not golf. Going through life, if you try to lone wolf it, that's going to end very badly for you very fast as a man. It's a team sport. It's football. It's not golf. And you need bring allies. Other men trust you, respect you. You don't want to be the guy, especially if it goes into networking or business and like, oh yeah, we're all getting together. But don't bring Delvin. No, he's gonna tell all your business. You've been shut out. So that's where it comes back to bite you. That's part of man code.
Okay, ladies, any thoughts in terms of which I think it might be different between, like, I guess just regular code or girl code? Because there's a girl's code too. Maybe we'll talk about it on another episode.
Yeah, that's another one.
Any thoughts though in regards to guy code?
So
okay.
I actually think guy code is because of conditioning. So you already talked about, Jay already mentioned the programming of the expectations of being a man, or how to basically become a man. And so I think that guy code is something that's put on little boys that's why we have, and some of the guy code I think is ridiculous, such as boys don't cry and things like that, because I think that affects their ability to be emotional later on in life. And when I say emotional, I don't mean just the ability to express anger, but to express other emotions. And that's why we have these conversations, because there's a lack of emotional intelligence in some aspect of the community, right? And I think that the guy code actually contributes to that lack of emotional intelligence in some cases. Women are more likely to have those conversations with their friends because women seek counsel from their friends, whereas guys are looked at as weak for seeking counsel or providing counsel if it's outside of the business aspect. If it's relationship oriented, then it's like, oh, you're all up in my business. Why are you up in my business? You go over there, I do me, you do you, and that type of stuff. Whereas women, even for relationships, we're okay with talking to each other. We're okay with providing counsel. We're okay with doing what we think is best for our friend if we're that type of friend. And so the primary difference, I think, is the conditioning for boys as how to become men. And I think that it technically does a disservice when some of that conditioning does not allow the person to grow or elevate beyond their box, so to speak. But that's how I see it.
Yeah, the only
Jake.
thing I would probably want to piggyback off of what S&M said is, not because you said what you said, it made me think about this. If I feel like the guide code is as old as the Constitution, and it might be time to get back to the table and reevaluate, right? You might have worked every single thing back then because of the way things were, but things have changed and society has changed, people have changed. It might be time to kind of make some adjustments, just like the Constitution, basically.
But go ahead, Jay.
I appreciate this outsider's perspective of the guy code so much. Thank you, ladies, so much. It
Not the
was in depth.
outsiders.
It was as in depth as I'm sure you all are capable, and you guys did better than most, I'm sure. But allow me to shed some more light here. First off, the guy code is not some trauma-based response from childhood. It's not like it's not all just boys don't cry. There is a aspect of guy code, to Delilah's point. The code does evolve. There's an aspect of guy code that covers crying. There's no embargo against man crying. The embargo is, Negro, don't get lost in your tears. You got stuff to do. You want to cry? Cry. Cry while you work. Cry and then get back to work. But don't be sitting there just crying, because crying don't do nothing. That's part of the man code, right? Women be like, no, girl, just work through those tears. You just cry till you can't cry anymore. And no, guy code says you can't do that, bro. Get up, do what you got to do. You don't have to, you can cry while you're doing it, but you need to keep doing. So it's not like a trauma thing. What it is the guy code is designed to allow men to be their best selves without unneeded interference from other men, unless there's a direct conflict. And I know, and while the prevailing thought may be that men aren't having these good conversations and these conversations where they talk about their feelings and their relationships, no, we do that. We do that with our friends. And we tell our friends when they're messing up. But understand, we tell our friends what we don't think they know or we don't think they see. If they see it, we're not going to point it out because we're their friends. We know how they move. We know what they're processing. So so this whole thing about checking your friend, I check my friend on the information he don't have. That's my job as a man. That's covered. But as a friend, that's what I do. As a man, I don't dabble in his affairs that don't concern me. Right. So the code is evolving, but the code is always meant to make sure that we men are as supportive as we can be without being hindrances to each other. I think women have something very similar. I think it just has a lot more feelings and a lot more time for crying. I'm joking.
So where do I go to find this man code, Jay? Like, is there like a website?
Yeah. Follow me. I'll be posting it tomorrow.
Okay, so that proves my point, right? So thank you for proving my point real quickly, right? Because I do think what S&M has a lot of validity, because there is no one place that is like the source and the one truth for what man code is or guy code is. People use that shit all the time and just varying in different ways, right? We were talking about in the context of relationship, he was cheating and dry snitching or whatever. But I think honestly, it reminds me of like how there used to be a code on streets and the gangsters and shit, but apparently niggas are telling that. So maybe that, you know, the rats thing is not as much of an issue as it once was. So when we talk about the evolving of whatever code, right? I'm not a street nigga. I don't know. There's like a book that says, "Hey, here's all the street codes," right? No snitching is definitely on there, but I'm not a street nigga. I'm not living by street nigga codes. Whatever, right?
Why can't I snitch? I'm not.
like if somebody robs you, nigga, tell them. You know, hey, that nigga robbed me. You're a fucking civilian.
It was him, Your Honor.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I get it. You might fear retribution, but you are within your right. That's what's so fucked up in the black community. We're making it seem like just calling the cops and doing your job as a citizen is snitching. No, I was not involved with you in that crime, sir. I did not sign up for this and decide to turn against you. No, I was against you from the very beginning. Okay, so I was like, I did not invite you into my home. What are you doing? but I do think that, you know, so my point was, I was only pushing back, Jay, because I don't think there's like a standard definition of guy code. Yes, it has evolved. I do agree with that. I think there is segments of guy code that is super hyper stoic and don't want people to emote or to feel a certain type of way or make them feel some type of way. What's even funnier to me is that there's women who will try to enforce their belief of what the guy code is on men, which is ironic to me. Like for example, when women might call a guy sassy, that's her directly basically undermining his masculinity and his presence as a man, right? Simply because he is not showing up the way that she thinks a man should, which would be stoic, to your point. That's just him, right? So I do think the man code thing, but to answer the question why it's different, especially when it comes to sex, is because I still think men move differently when it comes to sex. If my belief is that when it comes to cheating, for example, niggas just be out here trying to get a nut versus a woman who's emotionally engaged, there's more risk on her side because she's emotionally engaged on that shit. Of course, a woman should want to speak up because y'all be out of control anyways. You need somebody to help bring you back to the rail. If I see my nigga cheating, 9 times out of 10, I'm like, yeah, he gonna bust a nut, keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of risk there. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's parts of guy code that's based off of risk assessment. You know what I'm saying? That's based off of the dynamics. That's based off of logic. Just like when niggas cheat sometimes, right? Niggas make calculated decisions. And that's why I think when it comes to this topic, guy code is different than girl code. And lastly, because I feel like half the time y'all empathize with the women who get cheated on. Even if you've never been cheated on, you let you hear about a woman get cheated on, you would swear it was you that got cheated on. Man, you were not cheated on. Y'all take that empathy shit to the next level. So God forbid you see anything. You know what I'm saying? Woo, woo, trigger, trauma. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are more likely to want to speak up. Whereas, you know, most of us, I'll be honest, for as much as I hear about how guys get cheated on, women cheat 24% of the time, how many of us know, you know, a lot of niggas who got cheated on, for real? Now, if they're just keeping that shit to themselves, God bless them. But I've heard a lot of women get cheated on. That number is not the same as it is with men. Is that just me? No, Bueller.
No, I think men get cheated on at probably more than, I don't at least as much. I don't think the women get caught as much.
Oh, it's criminally underreported.
Right, it's criminally underreported. Right. Women get caught when they're ready to be caught.
Listen, man, if they ain't been caught, it didn't happen. Okay, so all this talking y'all talking about, if the nigga don't know, he ain't been cheated on. What are y'all talking?
He don't know.
Okay, tree falls in forest. Ain't nobody there.
Pixar, it didn't happen.
I was like, I can't even answer the question because I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Okay, I think we beat this one. I think this horse is dead, y'all.
But with that being said, let's go ahead and move to, so while we were in pre-production a couple times, we had this conversation about what's appropriate to share when dating, right? And so, for example, is it appropriate to share that you've been cheated on multiple times or that you're a cheater? Is that something that's appropriate to share when dating? And so
this time might be different, but go ahead.
Right.
You're special.
Trying something different.
I'm trying something. Oh, Lord have mercy. I believe people have heard that statement. But anyways, so I'm just curious as to what should you share in regards to your sexual history and your past in the early stages of dating or in your relationship?
gender affirming surgeries, sexually transmitted diseases, felony convictions, and estranged exes who haven't gotten the point yet. That kind of stuff you might want to cover up front because, I mean, these are risk assessments. To back to the next point, I need to make a valuable risk assessment to see if this is worth it. Yeah, I mean, not your whole life story, but the things that would that a person would need to know so they can know if this is just the kind of environment they want to move in. And I don't believe in that catfishing people thing by getting them to fall in love before you really tell them who you are. I really need to know you love me before I could tell you this. That's weird because whatever it is, you must have known they wouldn't go for it because you waited and they held it, and it's still whack. So you might as well just tell them. And if they're gonna stay, they're gonna stay. So I don't think in believe in that total honesty, telling everything up front. I mean, if you have a really great relationship, if y'all really hit it off, you guys can share some amazing things. But for most of us, just give me the particulars. Like I do need to know if what I'm saying, you weren't originally what you are now or something. I need to know that. You know what I'm saying? I need to know if you want to run from the law. I need to know that. You know what I'm saying? Just little things. You know what I mean? Nothing heavy. Nothing heavy. Y'all go
Okay.
ahead.
So just to follow up on the convicted felon part of it, but if they serve their time for their crime, then why the hell they got to tell you?
I need to make sure you know what I'm saying, we can travel, we can vote, whatever. I just don't need to know where we are as citizens. You know what I mean? Like what rights we got, what rights we don't got. Just let me know. You know what I mean? Do I need to have a gun around you or not? I need to know these things for real.
Oh, I
Can I
agree
leave
with
my
that
$40
because
laying around?
some people need that for their jobs. It doesn't matter whether you served your time or not. If we get really serious and maybe even consider marriage, and I have a certain job, I'm gonna need to know that because I might not be able to keep the job that I have or the job that I'm planning on having because you have that history. So, even though we're just dating, if you serve the time, then you can tell me about it and you can tell me your side of the story, and then you're leaving it up to me to make the decision whether I still want to move forward. And please tell me if you have a shitty credit.
Yeah, I think putting as much as you're comfortable out as early as possible is probably is the better way to go about it. At least my thought about it is most people are trying to qualify as many people as they can. So I'm going to try to keep as much about myself, hold it as long as I can. I'm try to rule people out, rule as many people out as you can as early as you can. So that way you're not wasting your time, you're not wasting their time. Okay, well, great. I told them, XYZ about me, and they're like, okay, well, I'm good on that, be blessed. Okay, I didn't waste my time. I didn't spend 6 months with them and say, once they're emotionally invested and like, okay, I've got something to tell you. And I used to do X, Y, and Z, but now that we're in love, you should be okay with it. And I think that's just a little emotionally manipulative, So I think put your bad cards on the table, as soon as you can. That's
But
me.
so really quickly as a follow-up question, when you say put your bad cards on the table, what constitutes bad cards? Like, so for example, some people may consider the body count conversation a bad card if they have 20 bodies, right?
Yeah.
But somebody else may not consider it a bad card because they got less than 100. And so I don't know anybody who got 100 though, other than Wilt Chamberlain that I remember. But anyways, so
It was
I guess,
10,000.
oh
But go ahead.
wow,
Yeah,
wow,
10,000. Yeah,
oh my God, he was up. Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, I do think that the body count is a different topic though, because even people who have been, because you're talking about just at the beginning of the relationship, but I think there are people who have been in very long relationships that still don't talk about the body count. They might be together for years, and that is something that is just, I guess, taboo to a certain degree, right? That just don't talk about. So I think that's kind of like a little bit different. But yes, I do like how you pointed out what's good, what's bad, what's indifferent. My thing is just be yourself off the top. It's not just about the big things, right? So, Jay, as much as
yeah.
I appreciate everything you named, which I think is really cool, I'm like, I really need to put that on the application. Um, but other than that, I think it's not just the big things; it's also the little things that matter, right? Because yes, the big things make a difference, but the little things are going to make a difference even more so because that's going to be more of the daily stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I started dating someone one time and I didn't know he smoked cigarettes because he would not smoke cigarettes around me. He would intentionally make sure, he wouldn't do that until later on. Like one time I was like, oh, well, I smell a little something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That that is a big thing. Like you can't just hide that. Or like again, it's just little stuff. You might be a drinker, you like going out, you like doing certain things. All those things matter. So at the end of the day, I really feel like there is no good or bad thing that you should necessarily share at the beginning. It's to really just be yourself, understanding that, there's, a certain way you're going to carry certain things, and you might need a little bit more trust before you can actually share it with someone. But other than that, be yourself.
I'd like to answer S&M's question. I think the whether or not you have good or bad things really is a self something you have to decide for yourself whether or not this thing is a good thing or a bad thing. And in my mind, what it really boils down to is what things about yourself you've learned to accept and make peace with, right? Whether it be your past or whatever. Because if you've accepted and made peace with it, you can then stand on it and own it because it's part of you, right? Even if you're not necessarily to the point where you're proud of it, you're to the point where you've accepted it as part of your makeup. You see when it's formed in you or whatever, whatever, whatever. And you can say, look, this is part of my story. I think that the parts of you that you aren't yet there with are not the parts that you share when you're beginning to date somebody. Not because you're necessarily hiding something, but because these are the things that you're not sure how you feel about them yet, and you don't want anybody making a big impression on it that will damage the way you're trying to process through it, right?
Right.
But when it does come up, you'll know when it's time to say something because the opportunity will present itself. You go, ooh, should I say something? And yes, you should. And if you don't, then you foul. But as far as like the good and the bad, just to sum up back what I was saying as far as S&M's question, um, it's really about owning your truth. It's really about owning who you are and being comfortable in your own skin, and then being willing to share that with someone that you trust enough to know that part of you, and not know where they're going to take it.
Yeah,
That's
and what I mean by that, like I have a good friend of mine, and he's poly. He said, and we said when I'm dating, I tell him this is one of the first things I tell him. Hi, I'm such and such. Nice to meet you. I'm poly. So if you're looking for a monogamous guy, I don't want to waste your time. Have a great day, and we're good. She might rock with it, she might not, but I didn't waste your time. And I was like, wow, that is really novel. I like, okay, put something on my mind, and that's what I meant by not necessarily bad, but just something that may be, like you said, your truth, even especially if it's something maybe out of the mainstream or is not
mm-hmm.
particularly conventional. You know what? People generally may not respond well to this, so I'm just going to put it out there because that's me, that's my truth, and if you want to rock with it, cool. If not, you know, I'm just not the guy for you.
Okay,
So,
okay.
so I see that we love having the should conversation. I think you guys beat the should to death on that one. So I'm not going to speak on should, right? Because I think I'm reading the notes from our conversation, the difference, balancing between honesty and discretion. I know people, I think a majority of people are having sex with people for the first time without seeing each other's my chart. I think a
Absolutely.
majority of people are having sex with people without even having the conversation about their sexual past for real, for real. Um, and I don't even know that if a person, man or woman, has a good, clean my chart, that it's your business who they slept with beforehand. Right. So when we talk about honesty and discretion and what should be appropriate to mention, I don't know that we really talked about like in depth. What does that look like? Right. So for me, for example, right, if I have no intentions of sleeping with you, or if I don't even know that I want to sleep with you, why the fuck am I going to tell you about my sexual life? I just met you. Right. So it's like, I mean, I hear on day one, bitch, I want to fuck right now. That's what you said. What you're talking about, Delvin? Hey, I'm Polly. Day one, I just want to have. That's ridiculous. Most of us niggas who get women know that honesty fully is a lie.
Right, because
Most of us
most men can't afford to tell them. They can't
no,
afford to lead with that.
please, sir. That's not true. Right? You're not walking up to the woman that you're meeting for the first time and saying, hey, ma'am, I don't know you, but the reason I'm walking up to you is because you're attractive and off rip, I would love to have sex with you. You're not doing that. You're not. Right?
I know.
Because that would be the truth for most of us. Right?
I
When
know
we see a
guys who
woman
do.
that we're attracted to, right, we're not going up and being completely honest. Half the time, we're not even being honest with ourselves, right? We might have to fool ourselves. But the truth is, when you see a woman and she's attractive, your thought is, damn, I would love to hit that. But you're not going to walk up to her and say that. So miss me with the, oh, we all do not put our full selves out there. In what version of life are you really putting your true self out there 100%? Y'all niggas are full of fucking cap.
No.
And I had to sit there and listen to this capitalist shit that y'all talking about. When you got that job, in those 3 interviews that you went to, got that job, did they really get a chance to fully know you and your personality? No. And on top of that, when you were trying to get that job because you liked how much it paid and the benefits, were you telling them that you're slow in typing? Were you telling them you're not really good with Excel? Were you telling them all the negative things about you? Absolutely not. Most people in the dating space are auditioning for each other, which is why we have the whole representative thing. That representative, while it may not be an outright lie, it's like a lie by omission because you're showing the best part of yourself. You're not telling that man or woman that you picked your nose before you got the goddamn car, or that you fucking fart, or you're fucking flatulent like a motherfucker. No, so stop the fucking cap, okay? People hold shit back, and the question becomes, what's appropriate? So let me try to answer that. If we're having sex, or if sex is in the air, it is appropriate at the bare minimum to have conversation about your sexual health. The end. That's what's appropriate. Now, if you want to be open to more stuff, absolutely, right? But if we're talking about appropriate, if I'm about to stick my penis inside of you and not vice versa, but you get the point. The point is, right? It's appropriate for me to say, hey, man, I've had some experiences. Whatever that conversation is, that's when I think it's appropriate. I don't necessarily think it's appropriate prior to that point because that person may not even know if they want to engage with you like that for real, right? So if we're having conversations, what's appropriate, I think the goalpost should be, it depends on what you're about to engage in that relationship with someone. Y'all were talking about like most people are out here trying to get married. That's not true. Like, let's stop that. Right? When you're meeting people initially in the dating, yes, even for the guys who are marriage-minded, you're going to find out what's going on before you get to the point of, oh, yeah, I want to marry her. In between that time, y'all having a lot of conversations. Hopefully y'all dating, y'all probably having sex. And a majority of people are not having conversations about credit. Somebody mentioned credit. Oh, yeah. Yeah. People and the masters are having those conversations. So that's why I said it's a should conversation. But to me, is it appropriate to have a credit conversation if we ain't talking about marriage? Like, when would that be appropriate? A credit conversation. I just met you. Right? And I don't know anything necessarily like where we're going to go. And you want me to give you my credit score? Would that be appropriate for me to give you my credit score? Right? So I do think there's a real use the fact, right? Right? If we want to be advise anybody to put themselves in any dangerous situation. So if a person is, a criminal or has something going on, and we at the dinner, and all of a sudden the Popo SWAT team pulls out, I'm like, bitch, I just want to finish my carnita. What the fuck is going on, right? So that makes sense. But that whole gender thing, we've heard stories, right, about how people respond in that situation. So I'm saying, I think the person who has the truth to reveal also has to be mindful about the other person. Right. And the position they may put themselves in by concealing certain things. Right. And I think the ones that Jay mentioned are like the top ones. But other than that, man, like people aren't really having these conversations for real. Right. I've known guys who've had sex with women who don't even know his real name for real. First Ed or last. You know what I'm saying? So we want to encourage people to have more conversations prior to. But the reality of it is, this is a should conversation. So yes, people should be doing that, and they should, but people are not doing that. And what they're not also doing is there's people out here, if I'm gonna keep it a real G, that are diseased and they know it, ain't telling nobody. We've heard enough stories about that. So we want to talk about, so there's obviously those clear lines where it's like, yo, that's foul as fuck. Like, the fuck out of here. But if we're keeping it honest, each person also has to be responsible for themselves. And so if you have questions, then open your mouth and ask. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be sitting there like, I don't know, I don't want to ask him or feel some type of way. If you don't let somebody in your body, then what question should be out of bounds? You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
right? Or you about to stick, penetrate. Hey, girl, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, y'all. We got to keep it real.
So
for real.
you stole everything out I don't know if you was
Good.
inside my head
Good.
or what was happening here.
All right, I get to do it to you too. Go ahead.
Because I was listening to this and I was just like, what the hell are they talking about? Because the representatives is what show up. And that's why people say the dating pool is shit. That's why when people say choose better, like, how could we choose better if the representative showed up, regardless if it's man or woman? And so I was wondering, like, I do like the warm and fuzzies that I was getting from what should be done. And I definitely agree with the gender affirming, because people are being unalive because of folks not revealing who they are. And I actually recently saw a story where this girl, she had a stalker, and she didn't bother to tell her boyfriend, and the stalker showed up at the boyfriend's house. And however, the boyfriend was being petty because the stalker pretended like she was cheating on him. He moved everything into the stalker house, calling himself being petty, and end up having, anyways, the moral of the story is the stalker ended up going back to jail for stalking this woman because she never told her boyfriend that she had a stalker because he was in jail. She didn't think it was important. She didn't realize he had gotten out. And so it was like stories like that, definitely you do want to tell. But ultimately, when we're talking about having sex, when's the right time to talk about certain things? I'm just going to say, unless you have a reoccurring disease, like herpes or gonorrhea, I think it's another one that's reoccurring. But if somebody had chlamydia, they're not going to sit there and say, oh, I had chlamydia 20 years ago or 5 years ago, or just last week I just cleared up that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
they're not going to say that. And that's why diseases continue. That's the fact that, if I recall correctly, no shade on Texas, but if I recall correctly, Texas got like an 85% STD rate because no one's saying shit and no one's asking questions.
Nobody's snitching. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, so I love the warm and fuzzies, but none of that's happening. So to me, what's appropriate is, let me know if you got an STD and if it's active, right? And if you're one of those hateful ass people who like to pass AIDS or HIV because you one of them sorry ass people like, oh my God, I got it, so I want to make everybody else suffer, then that's a problem, and that's on you, and I hope you go to hell. And so because you shouldn't take out your misery on somebody else. But at the same time, if you have any other STDs, like Nick said, especially as a woman, because we can get a lot of stuff like trichomoniasis or something like that, and the guy may not even know he has trichomoniasis because he's a passer of it. You know what I'm saying? It's literally known as the code name Dirty Dick Disease. And so with that being said, I want to know.
I've never heard that code name before, but go ahead. Research, right? Yes, that was research.
I do lots of research, but to be honest, it's because you can be passed if the guy has sex with somebody else and then has sex with you and then take the time to clean in between. That's one way it could be
That's
passed.
dirty dick for real.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, like Nick said, open your mouth and ask questions. Now, if the person's going to be honest or not, maybe, but at the minimum, set your guidelines, especially if you know you're eventually going to have sex with this person, or there's even a hint of sex that's going to occur. I'm going to be honest, I was crazy as hell. I'm surprised my husband even dated me, to be honest, because I was crazy as hell. On our first date, I asked like 20 questions. I was asking about his medical history, but once again, I'm a little nutty. And because I have sickle cell in my family. And I was like, even though we're laying down to have sex for recreation, there's a possibility of procreation. So I need to know if you got sickle cell trait. So my child, if we have a baby, I don't got to worry about that baby having sickle cell himself, And so, but that's because I'm crazy. And apparently, and at the time, he actually liked that. He was like, wow, you're the first person who actually asked me questions that mattered.
You know probably why? You'll be surprised at how many women don't ask a lot of questions. You'll be surprised on how little interest, even if she's interested, she may show in terms of getting to know you and still give you sex, which is, I think, why he probably appreciate that for sure. Go ahead, Devin. You about to say something?
Oh yeah, I was saying, talking about when is an appropriate time. I think when there's some sexual tension established. I mean, I don't think people should be going out with people they're not sexually attracted to, because that's wild and crazy. But that's another topic. Once sexual attention is established, then I think it's appropriate time to start kind of having more intimate conversations, maybe revealing some things, because we confuse day one, first contact, and date one. They're not the same thing. I may meet you out at the grocery store, and then we may talk on the phone for a week or two, and then we end up going out, and then down the road, that's a good time to have that, have those conversations, especially once there's some sexual tension involved. But kind of to your point earlier, if it's like, I don't even like you, or I'm not sexually attracted to you, there's no point in even, going down that road. But once sexual tension is established, I definitely would work my way into having those, more intimate questions and probing and kind of, finding out if there's some kind of match there.
I'm going to borrow a phrase from Nick and say that's cap. Because when y'all
it works when I do it. I can't speak for everybody.
I want to say this: when y'all see a woman, the first thing you like, oh, I'll hit that. The minute you say, oh, I'll hit that, that's when the sexual tension arises in your head.
But it has to be reciprocal. See, that's the part. I thought I didn't have to say it, but I have to explain that it has to be reciprocated. Once the sexual attention is a two-way street, then we can start, you know, okay, well, let's talk about some things. Let's talk spicy.
Okay.
You know, let's find out what's going on. So
Okay,
It's
I
not
can
sexual
respect that.
tension if it's only pulling from one side.
yeah, that's not sexual tension.
That's not sexual tension. That's just attraction.
Rubber bands don't work if you only pull them in one direction. That's not how.
I got one last question I asked Miss Delilah real quick so we can move on, because I think I hear what y'all saying, right? In terms of certain conversations need to happen early on. So if I'm a guy in the dating space, how do I have the sexual conversation and keep it sexy, right? Because the last thing I want to do is make it clinical to a certain extent, right? So depending on maybe like my riz, is that what the kids call it, right? Charisma, right? So I'm
you don't know how to use that word.
Yeah, you know, if I'm innuendoing, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I guess my question to you, Delilah, is if a guy wanted to broach that conversation with you in regards to sex, would you prefer for it to be more serious and I guess, you know, that way, or would you prefer it to be a little bit more playful? And the reason why I'm asking is because I would tend to think the playful one would be a little bit more intriguing because it kind of lends itself to keeping within the vibe, as opposed to if I went clinical with it, maybe there are some questions that I need to ask that may not, like, because y'all be finicky sometimes. Y'all be finicky. It's like a pilot light. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, oh, ooh, almost got it. It just couldn't catch. But you get my question in terms of if a guy wanted to have that conversation with you, would you prefer for it to be more straight-laced, more sterile in that way, or would you prefer for it to be a little flirty, or would you read it any kind of way?
I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for every woman. I can only say for myself. For me, it's just a normal conversation. It doesn't matter whether it's playful or whether it's asked seriously. It just depends on how, what was the topic, what were we talking about at that time, when it comes up. But I think it's the most normal thing to be like, hey, can let's make it normal. The same way we talk about how many kids you have and what you like. Hey, what's your stats,
It's
right?
not the same thing.
To me, it absolutely is.
Okay.
To me, it absolutely is. When we're like to Delvin's point, when it ggets to the point and you notice like, we might be getting something over here, and be like, okay, so let's talk about the cool shit. So you got yours, I got mine. Okay, it's a green light. So I don't have a problem with that. I do know that I have friends where it's like, okay, well, as long as we like using condoms, we don't talk about it until we're trying to transition, to, whatever
Off
without.
condoms.
That's
Fluid
when
exchange.
the conversation starts. And, I've done both. I've done, pre-condom and post condom, if you will. But I think it's just a normal conversation. I don't think there should be any offense. It's nothing personal. I mean, all these diseases, they don't discriminate. They don't care if you're, tall, short, black, white, fat, thin. They don't care. It's a disease. So it's nothing personal when someone is asking you that question, and you should not get defensive, when someone is asking that question, and you should be absolutely be empowered and feel comfortable to ask that question. Now, does that happen all the time? No, absolutely not. It does not. Back to the representative people part, right? I don't want to turn him away. I still want him to be interested. I don't want him to think it's whatever, which again goes back to each individual person on how they carry that. But for me, I just think it's just a normal conversation, and it should be a normal conversation.
Okay, so I'm gonna just say this quickly. I don't think sex is as normal as where you work at. So let me just say that, right? People tend to have a little bit more whatever around the sex conversation, the intimacy. It's not just a normal question to me, right? But it was interesting when you were mentioning examples. If a woman's asking me about my chart, that's signaling to me that we fucking. So, like, at least in my brain, right? And so, in the examples that I just heard, it would have been in a flirtatious conversation, at least to me, in terms of how that would have flowed. Oh, you want to see my mark? Even if that wasn't your intention, guess what I'm gonna do? Because for me, I understand the finesse of making difficult conversations a little bit more palpable, a little bit more engaging, maybe even leads to the goal, especially if I'm trying to fuck, right? So if I'm trying to fuck and I also want to get some information from you, then I'm going to make it a little bit more smooth than it be a certain thing. And the reason why I ask you that question is because I've heard women say, like, if a guy is trying to ask those types of questions too early on, it's a turnoff. Right?
No,
Because maybe she feels like, oh, whoa. Like, so, you know what I'm saying? So I think guys are sometimes in interesting dynamics because I don't think y'all really realize how finicky y'all are sometimes, really about anything. I mean, you could have a chick who genuinely is into you on Tuesday, and then Thursday it could be something completely different, right? So from a guy, it's like strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah, because y'all probably said some stupid shit that turned me off. Now you went from I really want you to don't even touch me.
And that's the thing. So thank you for saying that, right? If the thing is guys will talk themselves out of coochie, then how do you not understand my question in regards to how is a man going to approach that conversation so that he doesn't talk himself out of coochie? No. And you're saying it's just a regular conversation. I hear you, but I'm saying for a lot of people, it is not a regular conversation, right? It is a little bit more nuanced in terms of having that conversation. Y'all act like all the people that y'all slept with, y'all straight up was having those blunt ass conversations. And maybe if I got to be the only person to tell you, I'm not.
No, that is not what I said, and I think Delvin put it pretty well. You know, you're not dumb, so you know when you're talking to someone. Once that sexual tension starts, you know, maybe there's even a plan to do certain things. I mean, you should be at least at our age, you should be able to know when you be like, I'm about to get some. You should be able to know that, and you should know that you're not about to get some the second you ask me for my damn phone number. No, I'm not about to drop my pants right now. You know what I'm saying? So I think Delvin, he put it very, very well when he explained how, you know, as you're talking and, you know, you hear it's going in that direction, you know, that's a good time to slip it in. And that's why I said, depending on what the mood is at that time, that's when you either have it playful or maybe like, hey, let me ask you something serious or whatever the case might be. And then, you know, as I mentioned too, sometimes that conversation doesn't even take place until after you've already had sex, because some people don't even have that conversation until after you start, you know, you're a regular now, or we, you know, maybe we had a slip up, or maybe we're talking about, you know, like getting rid of the condom. So yeah, that's when it's a good conversation, especially when you pop up and you're like, oh, I didn't bring no condoms. I was like, okay, well done. Now it's a good time to talk about that. You know what I mean? There's a time and place for everything. But my point is, it should be a normal conversation, period. That is the only point I'm making. That it's not about when you have that conversation. It's just about when you do have that conversation. It should be a normal conversation, and it should not be an offense from either side. And but I hear you where to some women it might be like, oh, you're bringing up that conversation, or you're assuming I'm going to give you some. But that brings me back to the first point. Now, are you being defensive? Are you being whatever? I don't care. You want to have it, you can see it, and it's whatever. But again, I agree. Not every woman is that way. I don't disagree.
Okay, let me ask a quick question so we can move on, right? Because y'all be playing with me. So, fellas, have there been times that y'all brought a condom over to a girl's home, but made sure that she did not know you brought a condom to the girl's home because you didn't want to give her the impression that you knew that she was going to give you some? Why? Because you thought that if she knew that you knew that she knew that you were going to get some, it would get rid of vagina, right? Mm-hmm. Is that, Delvin, that's never happened to you? Because you never experienced that?
I'm sure I've done it. Yeah, probably. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure.
So if you're, and the reason why I use that analogy is because you're talking about a condom, which in essence represents safe sex, right? And you can't even communicate that you came there prepared, right, to have safe sex for fear that it might turn her off. What the fuck are we talking about?
You know what? You are so right.
I'm done. What the fuck are we talking about?
She knows what are we talking about?
Right.
Jesus Christ. Like, y'all be wanting to live in the should so much. And it's like, come on, y'all.
No, it is not.
Here's how you end all of this.
You bought the condom, you responsible. Hey, baby girl, we want to have a real normal conversation. The reason why I brought the condom over, come on, man.
You don't need a conversation at that point, because if you brought a condom, that means you thought something was going to happen. So if we start getting into it and you pull out your condom, what do you think I'm going to do? Like, oh, stop. Now we cannot have sex because I see you have a condom, which means you came here with an agenda.
You missed the whole point. You missed the whole point.
What Nick's saying is we can't pull it out until you all have let us know that it's okay to broach the subject. It cannot be seen. Should we show it before you all have let us know it's okay to broach the subject? It looks like we're assuming or presuming we're going to get it, and therefore we probably won't get it because now you all want to push back on the idea it's a foregone conclusion, even though we was out on the same time to begin with.
Thank you,
Okay,
man. What we
well,
Yeah.
well,
talking
you know
about,
what?
man? Listen, listen,
I can
y'all, y'all,
disagree
y'all,
with that.
y'all,
If
y'all.
you pulled it out, yes, I can see some women, doing that. But I've been on the other side where I've been like, okay, come on,
Now,
I know you brought a condom. Stop playing with me. And it's like, okay, okay, yeah, I did, my bad. And I'm like, okay,
niggas
shut
will be
up.
like, niggas will fake going to the corner store, like, yo, let me go out to the car
Yes.
and see. So what I'm saying is, and finally, we're gonna move on for this, right? I believe that men attribute to the delusion that women be going through and vice versa. Like we hide shit from y'all. Y'all know any better. So when we have these conversations, I get how y'all don't know. Because we did a good job of hiding shit from y'all. All right. Last topic, and hopefully I feel like we talked a little bit about this topic when we talked about it in the pre-pro, right? Because this twist on the conversation is about, is there a such thing as too much information? We started talking about what you have, what you should tell someone in the early parts of the relationship, et cetera, et cetera. But this came about because we were having a pre-pro, and some of our mates, I won't mention who, was talking about how edifying and how amazing it was to be able to share their deepest, darkest, intimate experiences with their partners, right? And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but it doesn't really sound as good, right? As, is there such thing as TMI? Because there's certain things I mean I want to tell my old lady, right? Like all of this new age, oh, we should share everything with our significant other. I don't buy into that shit, but apparently some people do. So my question to y'all is there a such thing as too much information when it comes to a relationship, y'all? Not just dating or whatever, casual dating. A relationship, is there a such thing as too much information?
Wait, do you mind if I add something
Yeah, go ahead.
additional? Okay, cool. I just want to add that this person emphasized that sharing this particular information could be a team building exercise and can create a warm and fuzzy in their relationship and make them stronger for sharing, oversharing certain information. It was a hoorah moment. And so I just wanted to add that additional context to it.
So I'm gonna come off the mic because I feel like people talking about me right now. So, so I'm gonna come out the mic and I'm gonna speak my piece. So first off, let me say that the subject, the conversation in question, for those of you who don't have the great benefit of being in our pre-production meetings, is I had the body count conversation with my wife. We both sat down, took like an hour and a half, wrote down everybody we remember, even if we couldn't remember their name. We wrote out the situation and where we found them or whatever, what we remember, stanky breath, whatever it was. And we made our list, okay? And it was fun for us. It was like cute. We laughed, kiki. Maybe every couple can't do that, okay? Although I think once you've been married a certain number of years, I think it's safe. Particularly if you're in a lifestyle, you should definitely do it, because why not? But now, moving beyond that, is there such a thing as TMI? There is such a thing as TMI. I do believe in transparency in relationships. I believe in clear and open communication. I don't believe in representatives. I believe in being authentic from day one. I don't believe in telling everybody everything about you from day one, because you don't know if they can be trusted. You don't know if they'll take the information and twist it. Onto the issue of being trusted in a relationship, right? A relationship means I am relating to this person for who they are and how they move through the space that we call life. So I got to deal with them according to the knowledge that I have for them. So there may be some aspects of me that I understand from what they've been through and what they've experienced or not experienced in life. They aren't prepared to conceptualize where I've been through, right? They can't see the steps that got me there, and they can't really understand how I got out of there. So maybe there's some parts of me that I haven't shared with my significant other, not me particularly, but I'm just using in general, that maybe there's a part you haven't shared with your significant other because you don't think that they're able to grasp it now. That's a difference. Like, that's a difference between living a separate life and not being true to yourself, and being respectful of where your person is and what they can, and like just where they are in their personal growth and development. If you happen to link up with somebody who isn't as far along as you are in certain areas and hasn't explored there, there's going to be some dissonance there when you try to relate to them what you've been through, because they can't relate because they've never been nowhere anywhere like it, right? Unless they have an interest in going there, that these stories will be hard for them to hear, because it's hard for them to visualize, conceptualize, and see themselves in that same place, moving in that same way. Short answer: is there too much information? There is, but it's governed by your own acceptance of yourself and your partner's ability to accept you as you are, or as they learn you to be?
I'm just gonna say, aw, that gave me a warm and fuzzy. I was just like, oh my god, that would be great. But in reality, that shit don't happen like that all the time. I'm actually glad that in your relationship you was able to have that conversation, particularly pertaining to how many bodies your wife or you may have. And so, but in reality, or in other realities, not your reality,
Other realities.
there is a such thing as too much information, even if it's something as simple as how many partners you may have had. I've known people who only had 3 partners, and their significant boyfriend, husband, or whatever started looking at them sideways because they had 3 partners. Or when you share too much information, there's a lot of times that in some cases, especially men, they'll say, "Oh, if I'm vulnerable and I share this amount of information, then it's weaponized against me. It'll be thrown out against me later on if we get in an argument." And women and men have a tendency to weaponize information that they receive, especially information that someone has judged you on, or they have the capability or the capacity to judge you on. And so I was listening to your story and I was just like, oh my God, that would be so great. Oh my God. And at the same time, I was just like, get the hell out of here, because that's not the reality for most people. And so I think you're like in an ideal state versus actual state, you know. And so I would say, just for me personally, and I recognize this was because I was naive, and in regards to, I was one of those people like, oh, if I'm married, I'm supposed to share everything under the sun, 100% transparent. And it turns out, no, you are not supposed to share everything under the sun about certain things, because it turns out that there are certain things that you can share that can be viewed as disrespect. And so I'm going to just give an example of what could be viewed as disrespect, that at the time when I was 21, I didn't think it was disrespect. I thought I was just like making a comment. And so there was this guy walking down the street and I was like, oh, he's cute. My husband looked at me like, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, well, I was just saying he's cute because I comment on women too. Like, oh, she's cute, because I was doing portraits and so forth. And he would comment on women and it'd be no problem. But the minute I commented on a guy, it was like, well, oh, now you're being disrespectful. And it was like, but I have no intention of doing anything. It was just a comment. And it's what I was thinking. And I just blurted it out while I was walking, what I was thinking. And so that type of transparency was apparently inappropriate for me, in this particular situation. But for everybody else out there, is, once again, there's some information that you can share that's your deep dark secrets. Like, somebody may have been sexually assaulted when they were younger, or not even, let's not even go with the deep dark secret, but let's go with something that they shared, like they peed in the bed back in the day. And when you get mad at them, you'll be like, oh, that's why you was a bedwetter. There are things that people throw out at you for sharing too much information. I would never, ever, 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 ever tell somebody, oh, until I was 20, I peed in the bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even understand certain aspects of how you still piss in the bed at 20. But with that being said, there's judgment that's associated with sharing too much information. And then there's also how you mentioned that person's ability to receive the information, but then you don't know what their reaction to receiving that information. And like Nick pointed out in a previous segment, we can't control how somebody responds to information that they receive, you know? And so that's why, once again, I'm just gonna say, oh, I love it.
I'm not saying it's inauthentic. It's just I don't know. But go ahead.
Whatever. I'm the prototype.
Something about it feels a little off. I don't know. But go ahead. Anyway, yeah.
I could
go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go. You know what? I've had the same.
I mean, Jay went, S&M went. I introduced to this.
Yeah, no, I've had the same. I've had the same experience that Jay had. We sat down and we just told stories, and we were already established in our relationship, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. That filled in some blanks. I kind of get you a little better, but I'm a little more open than most. Come to church, confess your sins. We listen, we don't judge, type of thing. That's the kind of program we run, and it works. But if that doesn't work for everybody, I completely acknowledge that. I'm out. You can. Some people are outside the bell curve, but for the people inside the bell curve, don't do it. let them believe your past started the day you met them, because it helps people sleep at night. That's my opinion.
He's right. Can I push back to just in something that S&M said about the if you peed in bed till you were 20, okay, and you are not 20 anymore, okay, there's no reason to tell anybody that. Okay, unless you're still peeing in the bed, in which case you might want to tell the person. If you wake up and it's a little warm and wet, oh, that's me. You know what I'm saying? So my point here is, I think the TMI is to tell people something that you're no longer a part of or that's no longer a part of you. It's only helpful if you're helping them understand how it shaped you, right? And if you're telling people something that, if you're not telling people something that is a part of you, then either you're trying to get rid of it or you're setting yourself and your relationship up for trouble, because eventually you're going to act it out and y'all going to have to deal with it, and they're going to have to either accept it or walk. That's my point. So you might as well just go ahead and have the conversation. That's what I'm saying. If you're going to keep doing whatever it was you was doing. If you're done with it, then be done with it, and ain't nobody got to deal with it.
All right, Delilah, did you want to get in there?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Delvin and Jay. I mean, it's just some people are ready for it and some people are not. I will have to say, I mean, I admire the fact that you guys are in such beautiful relationships that you can actually have those conversations. And I just think it requires discernment. I've had relationships where I have divulge more information, even though the relationship might have been shorter than with someone else, where I've divulged less information because it's discernment. You know the person that you're with, at least you try to know the person that you're with. And I'm talking about an array of topics, not just we're not talking about body count. That was just an example. But I would say no matter what the topic is, in a perfect world, yes, S&M is right. It's beautiful. Open your heart, say it all, except truth, and never throw it in your face. Absolutely beautiful. Yes. And it sounds like you two are, very close to it or already right there, which is absolutely admirable and beautiful. I mean, if you guys got friends, give me a call. But yeah, other than that, no, I would say I do think in my mind, in a perfect relationship, or one of the best relationships I've had, were where I was able to be authentically 100% myself, and my partner was able to be 100% and authentically themselves. Um, and even like you mentioned, throwing back in the face, or maybe even sharing that information after the relationship was no longer there, was not the case, because at that point, hey, we're just connecting right now, we're just sharing. So I know you're not going to share it even if we're not together anymore. It takes a lot of trust, and they don't come around often. I will say that fully mature men, um, who are comfortable in their manlyhood, because I just don't have another way to put it, they don't come around often, where you can share every and anything, and they accept the fact that you've had a past. And you know what? Women either. I'll throw that in there. There's not a lot of women either.
Okay. Yeah, listen, I feel like the steam on this engine is winding down. So hopefully you guys will be in your final thoughts so we can kind of wrap the season finale, right? Like a chugga 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 chugga. Yeah. Yeah. So just hey, listen, man, we had 10 episodes, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Dropping these 2-hour plus episodes on y'all asses. That's a lot of work that goes into these episodes. So I'll just try to answer as quickly as I'm capable. Is there a such thing as TMI? Absolutely. There is a such thing. I think it's delusional to believe there isn't a such thing as too much information, because like human beings are human beings, y'all. Like y'all act like, not y'all specifically, but people act like everybody's able to handle everything. That's not true. There's certain things that your partner can't handle, which is why you don't tell them that shit. You know what I'm saying? Why is we talk about being protectors. Sometimes protecting is also not saying some shit. You know what I'm saying? Let me protect your feelings. You know what I'm saying? You don't necessarily need to know that we almost lost our life necessarily. You don't need to know that, right? So because again, not everybody's going to be able to handle certain pieces of information. Now, there is that line between what you should tell someone, et cetera, et cetera. That's not my judgment. Y'all figure that shit out. But I'm okay with being ignorant about certain things. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where where we in this place where we feel like we got to know everything all the time. I don't feel that way. I'm okay with being ignorant in the areas of which I am ignorant in. They say ignorance is bliss. So when I balance out my mental peace or my mental health or whatever, I can choose what I want to know when I want to know it, and the shit that I can remain blissfully ignorant to. And this idea that I need to know, like, for example, you know, it doesn't even have to be about sex. Like, a person can just have a little habit that's like, ill, right? But if that's just their own little personal habit, it ain't affecting me. Hey, have your own fucking personal space, right? We were talking about this a couple of episodes where it's like nowadays, the only place that you might have privacy is going to be up here at some point in time, right? Because you're living with somebody, you're online, you go to work, you're on your phone, everybody's exposed to you. At what point in time we're being conditioned right now to TMI on social media? We didn't need to know that, sis. That homeboy did that to you. We didn't need to know that, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're just vomiting our shit on socials anyway. But my point is, I think we need more discretion. We need more, not less discretion. We need more discretion. Some of y'all need to keep y'all motherfucking business to y'all motherfucking selves. You know what I mean? And the thing that gets me is that sometimes I feel like people will share information because they want to unburden themselves and not give a fuck about the person that they're burdening with that information. You know what I'm saying? There's people, I remember I heard a situation where a person cheated and they felt so guilty about it that they wanted to tell the other person. And most people are like, well, that's the right thing to do. But that other person didn't cheat. You know what I'm saying? Right? Like, because your conscience is weighing heavy, right? Is that the real reason? Or because you felt like I should know for real, for real? So all I'm saying is you have to be mindful of people's motives when they're sitting there telling you shit. You know what I'm saying? Because, and I'll end with this, because it's actually I'm actually going through this in real life, right? People will trauma dump on you. People will trauma dump on you. And they think that because they have a certain type of relationship, they should be able to beep, 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 back up their fucking dump truck of trauma on you. No, I didn't sign up for that. Keep your fucking trauma over there. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that people use sharing sometimes to trauma dump. And whether it's in a friendship situation or a relationship situation, sometimes that's not fair. That's not about, being transparent. No, you just want to trauma dump. You know what I'm saying? You want a trauma bond. And if a person's healed enough, nah, man, stay over there with that. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I absolutely think there's a such thing as TMI. You guys are the prototype. But before we get up out of here, is that you see how it looks as a hell? You see how that looks? I just want to give her an example so she can see what we saw.
But as my intentions.
Mine too, coincidentally, my partner know. But before we get out here, any final thoughts on this season? I mean, if y'all want to talk about the episode, cool. But any final thoughts before we get out of here? Final episode of season. What's 4?
It's a lot of them.
It's a lot of them.
The Dark Edition. Any thoughts before we get up here? We'll start with the ladies. Let's start with Delilah. Hey.
Hey, no fun. I mean, you know, great show as usual. I came in on the tail end of the season. It's been absolutely amazing. I love that we addressed so many different topics, and yeah, looking forward to the next season for sure.
Yes, ma'am. S&M?
So I would say that I've enjoyed this season. I've learned a lot. I'm going to be honest. Like I said, I didn't realize how much I was in the dark about certain things. So this has been eye opening, and I find that to be, and it's amazing because it was one of the original reasons why we decided to do this was because we don't have these type of conversations in our community that are intellectual in nature about sex. We don't have these conversations that allow us to think outside the box. We don't talk about alternative lifestyles in a meaningful way. And we don't basically have this type of communication mechanism in place. So I like the fact that while we're doing this, I had an opportunity to learn some things, not only about myself, but some things about shit I never knew in the first place. And so I hope that we were able to do that for our viewers as well, especially those who've watched faithfully throughout the season. We try to make sure we do different things through the seasons, and as well as those who just joined us for this season, because we like to be the needle in the haystack, right? We like to be stand out and recognize that we will, as in the BLC pod, we will address the things that other people won't do. And so I found it to be enjoyable. One thing I will say throughout the season, communicate, but not TMI. Don't do too much information dumping, sharing, but still communicate. You know what I'm saying? There's a fine line. There's a balance between what you should share, what you shouldn't share. There's also a balance between expressing your needs and considering your partner needs and what they may or may not want, you know, and what you may or may not want. But as they say, closed mouths don't get fed. So go ahead and open it up, girl or guy.
Open the mouth up. Okay, what?
Uh,
oh, sorry, it went somewhere else.
It was supposed to go somewhere.
Delvin, go ahead, man. Final
Man,
thoughts.
the season's been great. I've had a blast. It's been an honor and a privilege to share the screen, share the space with everyone. Looking forward to season 5. I'll be here for the beginning. That'll be my inaugural first season. And I'm glad you guys plugged me in. And I've loved every minute of it. And we've talked about a lot of dope topics. Hope we've helped out a lot of people. I've learned a lot of things talking with everyone. We've got genuine author here. Nick's helped me get the big mic. You know, I'm living good now. Life is great. So yeah, I love it. And like I said, we just communicate and be your authentic self. And whoever doesn't like your authentic self, there's somebody who wants 100% of it, not 82, not 75. There's somebody who wants 100% of you. So
yes,
roll with that. Lean into that. I'm good.
Yeah, no, I love what everybody said, especially what Delvin said about just be authentic. I think everybody's kind of echoing that. Just if there's anything we want you to take away from this season, I think it was that it's okay to embrace all sides of yourself, and you should really learn to explore as much of you as possible. There's nothing more worth getting to know than yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then once you know yourself, you can get to know other people and then build relationships. As far as the season goes, I've loved this season. I feel like we've grown a lot just as a squad, as a pod. And I feel like I've grown as a person just for being a part of it. I love the team rounding out. I feel like we finally got like a really solid collection now, group of people. Of course, we miss Kim. Kim, our heart goes out. We love you. We miss you. And we know Kim will be back for season 5. So that's always something to look forward to. I feel like this season was really about us really like getting more of our voice out there. You know what I mean? Being able to kind of expand upon the spectrum of things that we talk about and just the amount of ourselves that we were able to show. So I hope our viewers who've been rocking with us since day one, man, we love y'all. Keep rocking. We see that you're there because, you know, the viewership is consistent. So just keep checking with us on everything we're doing. Great things are coming. You ain't seen nothing yet. Like, this is about to be amazing. Amazing. So I'm just excited. It's infectious. If you cannot tell and you can't get it from what I'm saying, you're gonna get it from what we gonna show you. So bam, just like that right there.
Yes, I mean, you know, it's getting a little late, and the train is running along into the station. So I'll try to be brief. I think you guys pretty much hit it in regards to the season. From the show perspective, I think for me, what's interesting that I've learned, or I'm learning through this pod, is to try to be as honest with myself as possible. You know, we talk about communication and honesty, but like, if it doesn't make you uncomfortable, I don't know how honest people are with themselves. Like, to be able to admit some things, the worst things of ourselves. How many of us really do that for real? For real? Like, hey, I'm a horrible brother. I'm a horrible son. I'm a horrible uncle. Whatever, like, acknowledgments that we have, shortcomings. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if people aren't uncomfortable enough, they're not being honest enough with themselves. So we can say that, right? That's why I like, if you notice in this pod, right, I sometimes find myself in the position to kind of go to the, I would say extreme, but like to the point where I can be honest with myself. If not for me, hopefully for somebody who's in the audience who might be like, yeah, I feel you on that. Because there's a lot of things that we don't do perfectly. And if we can't admit that to ourselves, then how are we going to change it for real, for real? So I think my exploration during the season was trying to be a little bit more, not just for like shock and awe purposes, but really explore who I am and how I am. And then you guys talk about being authentic. It is not that easy to love your fullest authentic self. We say that so easily. You know what I'm saying? That's maybe a different conversation for a different day. But as someone who's going through a renaissance of what self-love looks like, especially the things that you're willing to put up with and not put up with in that context, for example, it hits differently. You dig what I'm saying? And I'm 47 years old, so I can be honest enough to say that there's a certain level of freedom that comes with being able to be honest with yourself, because guess what? People can't hold that shit against you. You know what I'm saying? If somebody says you're X, Y, and Z, so I acknowledge that. And you know what I'm saying? So, but the thing is, like, sometimes when we have these conversations, I don't want to come across like we're super perfect, because we're not. And I know I'm not. And there's certain ways that I acknowledge that I fall short. And so, and I'm not going to change in those ways. Some of those ways I'm not going to change. Right? It just is what it is. Right? But with that said, though, I've really enjoyed Delvin joining us for this season. I really enjoyed Delilah joining us for this season. I enjoyed Kim. Kim, yes, we miss you, girl. You know what I mean? And we want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. We tried something different to try to talk a little bit more about sex and how important that is. I am kind of a little with the algorithms. I feel like we were throttled in terms of being able to reach a larger audience. But that just means we have to work harder to reach the audience, right? So aside from this being the season finale, we got off-season conversations coming up next week. So definitely tap in. It's a little bit more relaxed. So for those of us who still want to get our BLC pod fix, stay tuned with us next week for off-season conversations. And again, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. We got more content, like Jay said, coming at you. So the best way to get notified is to do all those little pretty things that we mentioned. And again, it's cold outside. Go out there and get your merch. Get you a shirt, get you a tee, get you some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Well, with that being said, on behalf of all of us here at the BLC Pod, we'll see you next time. And with that being said, bye. I think everybody's almost done, right? On the recording side?
I'm at 99.
I'm done.
I'm done.
If you having upload problems, I feel bad for you, son. Everybody's.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm done.
All right. Quick recap. Oh, so real quick. So next Wednesday, we'll still do the pre-pro. It won't be that long because it's not going to be the same type of show. It's probably more, if this makes sense to you two, F&M, more of just an opportunity for us to kind of recap the season a little bit. And then because the off-season conversation is not going to be like this. It's not going to be it's just, hey, let's talk about these couple topics. And then that's it, right? For the most part. So it's not going to be as structured. But so next meeting, we can just kind of meet, recap the season, just kind of off whatever this episode if we want to. And then we'll prepare for the off-season conversation on Thursday. So if that's worked with y'all, it is getting a little bit late. I got some editing to do before we get ready. So we can discuss after you guys have actually seen the episode.
All right, then. Later, Gators.
All right, you guys.
Be good.
Peace.
All right.
Oh, I'm tired. Oh, Jay, real quick. Before I forget, I'm glad I still got you. So you mentioned the equipment. Hold on.